All right, we're live on YouTube and I am starting the webinar now. Thanks, everybody. Hi, Shaitan, please get started.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Confidence in Action Summit. My name is Shaitan Atigari, of course, and I will be your host for today. Now, if this is your first time here, you're probably wondering what is it about? Now, don't worry, don't fret. I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to be doing here for the next 3 hours. Now, the Confidence in Action is a 3-hour virtual free event created to give you practical advice to help you advance your career. Now, you spend a quarter of your life at work, and we think you should enjoy it. That's why She Leads Africa and Darling Africa have partnered to connect you with experts and thought leaders to help you uncover your path to a better work life. Now, today you will listen to not one, not two, but 3 notable Kenyan speakers. Connect you with like-minded women, reflect on your career journey, and plan your next steps moving forward. From learning what to do when no one will hire you, how to network for people who hate networking, or the sweet art of negotiating the best offer job for oneself. One thing is for sure, we are confident you're going to learn something new. Now, have a good time and hopefully walk away with the clarity and confidence to make your next career move. Now, like I said, there are people that have been with us from the beginning. This is our 3rd week, but if this is your first time, let me kind of give you a bit of the house rules. First, I'm going to let you know how this is going to run, and then how you're going to interact with me, the speakers, and of course, the fellow people, your fellow women on here who are here to learn. Now, like I said, this summit will run from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Kenyan time. But of course, here in Lagos, it's 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. There'll be 3 talks, each focused on carefully selected career topics based on the feedback that you shared with us before the summit. Now, the first talk is what to do when nobody will hire you. I'm sure we've all been there. I mean, there are certain jobs that I've applied for and they've still not gotten back to me. So what do I do when nobody hires me? Well, we're going to be hearing from Dorcas Inderitu. She's a talent and performance management advisor, and she's going to be giving us the gems that we need to get those jobs, man. Now, the second talk is how to network for people who hate networking. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't personally have this problem because I like to walk up to people and, just try to start conversations. As a journalist, is what I love to do. I love to meet people. But I can tell you about my best friend. My best friend absolutely hates networking. I'm sure she's online now because she has to listen to Martha Karimi, who is an author, talent, and innovation expert for the emerging markets. She's also a career reinventing coach. And she's going to be talking to us about how to network for people who absolutely hate networking. And last but not the least, the third talk today is the sweet art of negotiating the best job offer. I told you that there are some jobs I've applied for. Hopefully, by the time I get those jobs, I'll be able to sweet talk my way to the best deal, the best Money. Money is very important. Money is very important. Now you're going to learn how to negotiate the best job offer and get that dream job. And it will be delivered by none other by Joanne Tuo. Now she's a career coach and expert CV writer. Now I'm going to give you a few rules about how we interact here on Zoom. First off, I want you to raise your hand if you've ever attended an event on Zoom before. I want to see those hands go up in the comment section. Great. Now, let's run through how we can interact and have some fun while we learn. First off, please use the chat box to communicate with each other during the event. Now, you can use the chat in several ways. You can chat with everyone as a group. That means everyone, including myself, the speakers, and everyone on here will see your comment, or you can communicate directly by letting the name of a specific platform. Now, at the end of this talk, we're going to have a question and answer box, and in questions you would like the speaker to answer during that section. You can also use it to ask the support team in case you experience any issues during the summit. Sharing is caring as well, so we would love you to engage meaningfully with your fellow attendees. You can answer and or vote other attendees' questions. We're also going to have polls. A speaker might launch a poll to get to know you or get your feedback during the summit. Don't shy away from polls. You don't have to answer, but I encourage you because it will help you get to know each other better, uncover valuable insights, as well as help the speaker tailor their content to suit your needs. Now, like the hand raise, like the polls, at some point, the speaker may want to conduct some impromptu polling. So use the hand raise to quickly vote yes or no to a question. Now, let's try it out. How many of you are excited for the session? Oh, I am. Let me. Now, the summit is short. I promise you, it's not like those long surveys that people always send that will take you 15 hours. It's a short survey that will automatically appear on your screen. And we would appreciate it if you would complete it and tell us about your experience and let us know what to do next. Now, social media, I mean, this is a virtual event, so it's very important that you please friends at the summit, please share Summit Kenya. In fact, do a test. That's SEYITANATIGARIN, tag Nigeria, of course, with the hashtag CIA Summit Kenya. That's CIASUMMITKENYA. I almost forgot how to spell Kenya. It's not going to work. Now, before we go to our first talk, I just wanted to give a shout out to the beautiful people over at Darling Nigeria. They provided all my hair from the beginning of this up until the end. I'm loving my braids, and I'll come back at the end to give you more information about where you can get it. Now, let's go to our first talk. I think, yeah, we're right on time for our first talk. Now, remember what I said. The first session is called What to Do When No One Will Hire You. It will be delivered by Inderitu. She's a talent, Dorcas, I'm so sorry. She's a talent and performance management advisor. Now, I want to tell you all about Dorcas. Are you ready? Are you ready to meet this? This woman has done plenty of things. I'm just looking at her bio now. I'm like, whoa, Shaitan, you have a lot more to do in life. But let me not get distracted. Voted one of the leaders in the power list of the top 200 biggest voices in leadership to watch out for in 2022. She is among the 11 aspiring women HR leaders in Kenya as per People Hum. Talent and performance advisor, Dorcas Inderitu is a speaker and trainer, as well as an HR strategist with a background of more than 15 years in human resources and leadership. Her career expands over several industries, including investment, retail, training, hospitality. Dorcas has worked her way up from an entry-level position to earn her seat at the C-suite table. Dorcas is a certified talent optimization consultant and a hashtag I am remarkable facilitator. She's passionate about helping her clients learn the talent management and leadership strategies they need to succeed no matter what this workplace does. She is the founder of Women in HR Kenya and the HR director at Outsourced HR Solutions Limited. If you could please give some love to Dorcas, give her a warm welcome in the chat section, even as she comes on board to talk to us about this amazing topic. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say, Dorcas. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, Missy. Let me tell you, you have just done justice. I don't want to add anything. Thank you for everyone who's joining from Kenya. I really appreciate the fact that you have committed to actually just focus in improving in your career. And today we're just going to cover that. And I will not close out on anything. I will not keep quiet. I'll tell you everything so we can elevate yourself, but most importantly, still look good while you're doing it. So thank you, darling, for being able to bring us on board after this. So as she said, my name is Dorcas Ndorito. Kindly, if you have any questions, please use the question and answer, and I'll be able to guide you through as I take you through this session. And one most important thing I would like to request, think about the current position you're in and ask yourself one question before I start. Do you love where you work? Do you love your job? Because if you don't, if you have an answer like yes, I want to hug you, because one thing is for sure, you must love what you do. You must love where you work. And one thing I have come to learn is by embracing your purpose, by understanding your vocation, by understanding the skill you have and what you have to offer out there, it gives you that leverage. And today, we're just going to look at it and break it down as to how you can move from hating the job you have into loving it. And I hope you will be able to be interactive, because it has to be interactive. So one thing I've always said is, if you're not in charge of your own career, if somebody else is controlling it, if somebody is the one guiding you or telling you this is what you're supposed to do, I'm sorry. After 2 or 3 years, you'll find yourself getting bored. You'll find yourself asking yourself, oh gosh, it's Monday tomorrow. Am I showing up to work? So today, I just want you to do one thing. Pause for a moment and just say, I want to take charge of my career. I want to own my career, because once you do, then you'll be able to understand the steps that I'll guide you through, a few of the things that we'll be able to practice here. But most importantly, as you go back to work, you'll have a plan, you'll have a strategy on how to tackle it and how to elevate yourself. And that most important thing is what I'm bringing for you. You have to take control of your own career. And as we do think about it, I would want to know just a few questions. You can use the chat box just for a quick segment. Are you having fun where you are? Every day, you spend an average of 8 hours in company X. Does company X bring out your energy? Or does company X tell you, oh no, you cannot have long nails, or you cannot have that strong smile, you're too energetic? Do you have fun at work? It's important to ask yourself that question, because these are some of the things or triggers that will tell you if it's time to change. And these 4 aspects, we'll look at them, but also they'll help you analyze, audit your work life, and for you to know for sure if it's time to step up and move to the next level. The second question is, are you having an impact? Are you bringing it home? You know, every time you go for a meeting, are you able to deliver points? Are you enthusiastic in terms of contributing to ideas, projects? Because if you're not, if you feel you've reached the threshold of, you know, I've given them everything, I don't think there's anything else I can contribute. And even from the feedback, I don't think I'm causing any impact where I am. I'm not making a huge difference or any kind of difference. That would be an alarming thing. And it's really, really important to ask yourself these questions, because think about it. You're probably around 25, or let's say around 30, and you really want to settle in a really great company where you're able to do a great job. Two things are for sure. You must have fun where you're working. You must enjoy that environment. And for sure, you must contribute to it in terms of either growth, in terms of you just knowing one simple bit that you are making a difference, even to at least one person's life. Then another thing, you're 25, you're 30, are you growing? When was the last time you thought of, you know what, I need to take up this course. I need to go back to school. I need to elevate myself to discover more. How do I become an expert? And wait, what is my area that I can focus on? Those are things that trigger you to want to grow in your career. Have you applied for any promotion positions in your organization? Have you tried applying even for a role outside? I mean, if you haven't done that for the last, let's just say for the last 1.5 months, because we're in 2022, you need to strike a balance and admit it. This is something you really need to analyze. And finally, how is your work-life balance? Are you able to balance off your personal and work, but also at the same time, just trying to ask yourself, okay, I'm in this to be paid really good money. I'm in this to actually make a difference and contribute to great ideas for a great project. I mean, this to also have fun and also grow and move from one level to another. But am I able to balance all that, considering that I'm young, I have a young family, or I'm just about to get married or start a new relationship? There's always that balance. And it's important because when it comes to your physical, emotional, and balancing it off on your occupation, it's really, really good to think about those things. And they trigger you not really to a really good balance where you'd say, well, everything seems to be okay. There's always some disbalance. And those disbalance is what we're going to look at today. So we can navigate and figure out why we don't like where we're working and how do we move from there and elevate ourselves to a different level. Now, as we are crafting that, we have just self-analyzed. And we are just asking ourselves, are we ready to explore some of these things that we are saying that we're not having fun? I want you to remember one thing. And I've stated it very, very simple. Do not be afraid to fail. Do not be afraid to try. Because if you don't just take that one leap of faith and say, you know what, it's true. I don't have fun at work. It's true. I am not growing. It's true. I really, really am not, having an impact, and it's time to move on. Be honest with yourself, because once you do, then you're willing to accept the change that you're about to take place, but also facing up to your fears. Because one thing I've learned from my own experience, you come up, start working to a place, and you're thinking, well, this is the best job ever. And what you've not discovered is there are far much more better jobs out there. And you trigger yourself and you say, what? Let me just give it a try. But you get a rejection. And you're like, okay, I tried. Let me give up. There's no need. Let me settle for what I have. At least I have a salary. At least I have a job. I cannot complain. I'm grateful. No, this is 2022. You need to ask yourself, if you're going to grow and elevate yourself, you need to face up to your fears. One rejection should not stop you from applying. But the most critical thing, and that's why we're exploring fast where you are, is understand yourself. Understand the level you're in. Because once you know how to get it right, it will trigger you in opening up a lot of things. And I want us to craft one simple thing. One, have you sitting down? Have you discussed with any career, I would say, profession out there, even your HR manager or officer, about what kind of personality are you? What kind of job are you good at? I know most of the time we do not like doing performance management. That's usually, oh gosh, HR is calling. What are we going to do? But ask yourself, if you've gone through a performance review for the last 2 or 3 months before, it's really important to go back, because there lies an answer. There lies an answer to your future without you knowing, because your performance review triggers on 2 things. One, what you're really, really good at. And that's one class that we really want to focus on. And then 2, What can you improve at? And how can you improve to do it different? Because when you fail or not able to deliver something, when you're not able to impact and make a difference where you are, there's always a trigger on, I need to learn something new and I need to know how I'm going to go about it. And that's why I'm talking about crafting a growth narrative by first rediscovering yourself and understanding your personality. And now there are quite a number of platforms you can pay for personality, but guess what? You can still Google and get a free personality and just work it out and understand, who am I? Am I an introvert? Where do I place myself? And how do I respond when I work with people and when I'm working on projects? Because by rediscovering yourself and going through that exploration, it'll guide you in building up your growth narrative. And then number two, after you discover your personality, go back. Okay, in my last review, somebody said, I don't speak up. In my last review, somebody said, I don't finish up my work properly. Review, find out what is that one aspect of a skill that you need to narrow down to. And that will guide you to know, okay, so I need X skill. I need to know how I can move from being just but a good report writer to a great report writer. I need to be good in terms of being assertive as a supervisor to a great leader who's able to lead a team. But also at the same time, I need to be a good team player by being proactive. And therefore, I'll need to understand team dynamics. By writing down just those few skills, they'll guide you. And it starts by knowing your personality, by getting feedback from people, either from your last performance review or from 5 people who you interact with on a daily basis. They'll let you know who you are, where you can improve, but most importantly, be honest with yourself when you get the feedback, because that would be the starting point. Another area that we want us to explore would be creating a job strategy, which will be the most interesting thing. You'll discover new tools, new skills, but most importantly, a sequence on where you'll need to maintain the consistency so that you don't lose out on it. And then finally, we will figure out your career roadmap so that we're able to get it right. But first, let's try and explore a few things. Now, when was the last time you thought about doing a job search? Which job board did you narrow down to and say, you know what, if it's in Kenya, is it Brighter Monday? If it's in Kenya, am I just going to Google my role and then just say, you know what, the random thing, which jobs are available for the month of for February 2022? Ask yourself, if your job search is just narrowed down to a general search, you'll not get it right. A few pointers that I've practiced and I've enabled other people to practice to get it right in regards of them getting it right in just learning how to do a job search. 1, if you're not in LinkedIn, you need to think about joining in. When you're in LinkedIn, you're able to create your own job search narrative. And you're able to say, I'm looking for X in this location and this specific role. That helps you because 1, it helps you understand that there are different roles that are out there, different positions, but also where are you? Are you on the entry level? Are you on the middle level? Are you on the senior level? Are you on the executive level? It's really, really important for each to be outlined properly. So I'd advise, if you're able to use LinkedIn and for you to create search engines, they will automatically be sending you alerts on your email. And therefore that becomes one aspect or one area of looking for roles. But then again, remember, that's just the standard way of looking for roles. There is the other hidden aspect where you're able to look for roles, but they are not advertised. No one talks about it. Everybody is hush about it. But you know what? It's still the most effective way of doing a job search. Again, going back to either LinkedIn or going to your network, think about it. There's this one person who you know who works in the position as a HR profession. Get to know them. Be their acquaintance. If you can even end up being a best friend, why not? It will be a plus for you. But the ideal scenario here is, what are you doing? You're crafting a path into your job search. You want to narrow down to the person who gets updates about job search in the organization firsthand, and they're able to communicate. And then we have headhunters who are out there readily available, They are there reviewing all and everyone's profile just to figure out, is this the kind of person I'm looking for? Reach out to them, have a conversation with them, get feedback about your profile. Most of the time, because they may not have maybe an opening at that given time, you know what? They'll give you feedback. I'll tell you for sure, there's a time I did it and it really worked wonders. It was very simple. I narrowed down, got into LinkedIn, identified a headhunter, and did the quick action that just allowed me to just get into the inbox. And I stated, this is what I'm looking for. I would like to branch out. I'm actively looking, and it would be really great if you're able to give me feedback about my profile. Now, what have I done? I've narrowed down to simple things that are easy to do, cost effective because it's totally free as this session is, but most importantly, working it out strategically. By identifying what you'd like would be really, really important. Remember, we talked about you're not having fun. And the fact that you're not having fun, it means you have to move from what kind of company am I in terms of the environment and culture to what kind of company do I want to find myself in. So in your job search, the other most critical and most important thing is doing a company research. Now, most of the time, people prefer going to the website. And yes, it's always happy-go-lucky in the website because you know what? It's tailor-made. It's perfect. You get to know all the information about the organization. You get to know what teams are there. And it'll always look really, really great. And I bet you if, for example, you go to Safaricom website, it will just show you it's outstanding. But most importantly, remember, that's not where you get to see the real cream about the organization. Go to their social media platforms, identify what kind of events are they doing for the community? Are they reaching out to support? Are they growing their team members? Are they educating them? Because all those things you get to learn through the platforms. You get to go to LinkedIn, you get reviews and feedback on where people are talking about how great a manager this is. You go to Instagram, you get to see the activities they have. You go to Facebook, you get to see the activity. So what am I saying? Move from the shift of the company website and get to search them on the social media platforms. Another way of you getting feedback and reviews about the organization is through Glassdoor. You're able to get feedback immediately. And nowadays, there are quite a number of organizations in Kenya that are giving feedback in terms of, is there growth over there? How is the work culture? How are the senior positions in terms of even joining? People are giving tangible information. What we need to do is tap into it because then you use it to your advantage point. Remember, we talked about having a friend in HR. It's really critical because now they come into play. Just through our informal meetings, every now and then you'll find yourself when you're just having lunch with friends or colleagues, you'll hear conversations of people saying, you know what, that organization is great, they pay great, but let me tell you, you just stay there because you just need the money. So which one would you prefer? The horrendous work environment which is toxic, or is it the money? And we know we really need the money. So you figure out which one gives you a balance through the research. And it's important because when you're aiming to get right in an interview, you need to ask yourself, have I done my research properly? Do I understand the organization? Do I understand what they stand for? Their values, all. And it needs to be very, really clear cut in terms of, I make it so critical that I always advise somebody, get an Excel sheet. And why I'm saying an Excel sheet is because you're able to track each and every aspect and step that you narrowed down to. Now, want us to look at the career roadmap. Now, every person has their own different career roadmap, and it's really, really important to understand that you may not be able to duplicate it with your friend or your colleague. And why am I saying that? It's really, really important for you to just ask yourself, okay, I am now in my entry level. My colleague is at the senior level. How am I able to jump off up to a senior level? It may not be possible because remember, we start off at an entry level, you move to being a generalist and you grow on and you become an expert in that subject matter that you're focusing on. So one thing we've identified is we know our personality, which is really, really critical. We have understood the skills that we need because remember, You're working somewhere you don't like. You're working somewhere you're thinking, given a chance, even by Monday, if I'm called for an interview, I'm ready to go. Because you've analyzed and have understood that the pain points are the work environment, the pain points are either sometimes working long term, you narrow down your career roadmap to be very clear. The first part is in the assessment, which you have done. But even as we assess and we start getting to the exploration where we're doing searches for jobs, make it very clear on what you're looking for. From the time you're coming to work to the time you're leaving, to the time you want to take leave. Understand those critical things, because when it comes to negotiating your salary, sometimes we get so excited that we have gotten into the last bit of the interview. We just think it's just about the salary. When you're exploring for new roles, you need to ask, am I getting a higher pay? Will I get benefits as it comes to it? Is there medical? Is there a pension? Is there an opportunity for personal development? Is there an opportunity for career growth? Because once that comes out clear, you'll be able to know and understand that through your exploration, you are clearly cutting out things that you may not necessarily require. And if you're able to grow internally in your organization, I always say it's critical to have it still written down. Never assume just because you're already in a good organization that it's okay to just not have a structure or a proper career roadmap. And then another thing, make sure you list when you'd want to go to school, what you'd want to add, and slowly exploring the areas you want to have as an expertise. Well, what drives us or what finds us in areas where we're not happy at work is because we find ourselves grinding and doing the same thing over and over. You've been in that position for the last 3-4 years. You're getting bored. How do you move it? You move it out through a career roadmap. And another bit, once you discover properly the exploration, it gives you an opportunity to first pivot to a different level where now you get an opportunity to be promoted, you get an opportunity to grow, but also it means more responsibility. So more responsibility would mean more money coming through, but the definitive thing is you also need to define what new responsibilities will mean for you as you explore and even as you get that promotion. Let it not be that you're getting responsibilities, but you're not getting an additional increment, because then there's no balance. And then think about it. We've already talked about connections. Who is in your area? And I know somebody's going to talk about networking, but the most critical thing here is, I'm in this role. Who can help me connect to a different role? Have you identified the person who's going to be your cheerleader? Have you identified the person who is going to be the agreeer, or I'll basically call it the person who confirms with your cheerleader that this is the right person for this position that we have put out? And then finally, those two people would be the ones who would push the decision maker to make the final decision. So it's important to create that connection so that at the end, what you've done is you've analyzed, understood yourself, and you know who you need to connect to so that your path comes out very clear. And as I say, consistency is key. As I mentioned earlier, you need to create a sequence on how you do these things. This is not a sequence that you can do within a day. It's a sequence that gradually goes growing as you continue. And then finally, you'd look at how do you engage yourself to higher roles? How do you find yourself even in consultancy? And finally, you will be able to look back and say, I moved from a space that I was not comfortable because I was not able to balance things. And most importantly, I found myself in a position where I am now comfortable to grow. So one thing I need to really shout out is the fact that Shili has really interesting trainings. And I know for sure we always look for opportunities to get really great offers. So I would tell you for sure, think about how do you build yourself in creating new opportunities. Look at their website, look at the trainings that are there, because remember we've talked about which skill do I need to add? What gaps do I have? You need to also identify where do you get those opportunities to be trained. You need to identify how do you grow at a reasonable budget, but still upscaling yourself with the right training and skills. So it's really, really important to reach out. I know they have a training that allows you to be more confident when you're going for interviews, to be able to answer back things confidently. And if you tap into it, I believe you will not regret at all. Another crucial area I want us to explore, which is something that hinders us from growing, even when we are stuck either in an organization or a job that we do not like, is lack of experience. Now, most of the time, somebody just looks at our role and says, you know what, I can do this. But when they look at, they need 5 years experience, or they need 2 years of managerial. Now, how do you create this narrative? Now, this is where it gets all juicy. And as I said, you will get an opportunity to just think through and practice and see how do you apply what I'm telling you. So the first thing I always say is, think about your career, or think about your skills and professions that you have gained in the different areas you've worked. Even if you're just from school or you're just graduating, think about the internships that you've gone through and create a narrative that works. Create a story. We've all seen all those episodes of either Grey's Anatomy or whatever nice movie you really like watching. There's always a story that is captivating. Have you created that story to be that captivating for the audience that you're shouting out to? And these are the hiring managers. As I say, a good career narrative must link your prior accomplishments to what you want to scale yourself to. So how do you get there? Speak about what you've done, but in a way that attracts and builds more leverage for you. If you've done a project, don't talk about we did the project, we implemented, we came up with a plan. If it was your effort that you put in, talk about, I came up with a plan that ended up being implemented. I contributed to quite a number of projects that you led. Okay. Be very honest with yourself, because you've already analyzed yourself. You've already reviewed where you work and what you have done and contributed. You've already come up with a roadmap that you want to find yourself getting to. So it's always critical to build up your confidence, create a story, create a sequence where somebody is able to understand this is where you are. Now, remember, for us ladies, we always have this one challenge, and this is where we sometimes miss out in getting the experience, especially during interviews. There's always a probability that when somebody is interviewing you as a lady, they'll always take your experience, past experience, as a way of them affirming and making sure that, yes, this person is able to carry out the work. However, when they look at the man, they always assume, oh, well, this person has potential. Just look at what they have achieved in their previous time. No, we need to grab that and we need to own it so that we are also seeing that we have the potential of being future leaders. So it's really important to create that storytelling narrative, and it's very simple to craft it out. Now, the other thing is, even as you continue building your speech, you've created your story. Now, how do you present it? Who do you present it to? Remember, we talked about connections. And remember, we talked about that cool friend you've just made who is a HR. Well, it's time to show them what you have. Have a conversation with them and just ask them, can we have a formal meeting? I would really like to pitch something to you. And you come up with a simple paragraph about what you'd like to talk about. And that paragraph is supposed to capture particular things. For instance, it's supposed to bring out an issue that you have noticed either in the organization or in another organization, and then put in it an opportunity where you offer a solution and you give a value proposition. Okay, when you're developing an elevator speech, it's really, really important that it's seen that it's favoring the person you're talking to rather than you favoring yourself. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that even when you are developing it, it needs to be brief, it needs to be succulent, and it needs to tell the network in terms of context what kind of work you do and what you're offering. So the most critical thing here is what? If you are, because I saw there's someone who's in engineering, if you're in engineering, what area of focus is it? How are you able to bring that narrative and say, you know what, I've just graduated and I've just discovered that there are not so many women in engineering, and I would really like to get an opportunity where when I work here, I'm able to mentor even younger ladies in getting their career jump-started in engineering. And I believe this opportunity will give me a chance to be able to lead a team. So thinking about the gap, thinking about what you can offer, but most importantly, creating an opportunity for yourself. So when you go and you're getting into an interview or you're in a networking session, think about that small, simple elevator speech that you've created. It builds your confidence when you practice it. It builds you a network in terms of your brand very, very easily, but also because you've crafted it in a way that people are able to understand what you do, they're able to see the solutions they're offering, people will really want you to be in their team. I have done this before and have seen other people doing it. Somebody will always reach out, or when we're networking and you'll talk about issues they've had me mentioning that are of need, and they'll be there to offer the solution in terms of their talent. Okay. Another thing that sometimes we shy away from because we think we don't need help. When you don't have an experience in a certain sector or industry, kindly look for someone who has that experience and ask them if they can be your mentor. Now, being a mentor means, of course, a lot of hard work for you, but guess what? You're getting an opportunity to gain experience in an area that you're interested in, but also you're getting an opportunity to do it at a low cost. Okay? So having narrowed down on an area that you want, identify the person, go back to, this is what I call my personal board. You have already identified a friend who's HR, you've identified your networks, and you go back to them. And you're like, you know what? You mentioned to me, these are my areas of need that I need to improve on. And I would really like to know, if I identify X as my mentor, how or do you think this would be the right person to be, and how do I go about approaching it? The same team that gave you feedback about who really you are in terms of your experience and areas of improvement, they will give you feedback also on it. Because you know what? We all need accountability partners, even when we're getting into mentorship. Because one, the same team will remind you and keep checking on you on how is the mentorship going, what is your learning, and what you're doing in return is you're giving feedback on what you've learned, but also it's giving you an opportunity to elevate yourself from a level of not having the experience to a level of understanding what is expected in that area. And therefore, you're able to change the narrative, or you'll be able to change your elevator speech to include the new skill asset that you have. Now, does mentorship take within 1 or 2 days? No, it's gradual. It has work to be done, but most importantly, it has been seen that when women get mentored, they have a higher chance of actually performing better at their workplace, getting promoted, and even getting new openings. So think about it. Who would you want to have as a mentor, and how do you build it up? And then finally, what we focus on, and that's what we've been picking in all points, is about your personal brand. And it's important to just shout it out and shine it out on it, because it's really, really critical for people to identify with who you are. So I'd always advise somebody, get into LinkedIn, get into actually all your social media platforms and just talk about your work. Create the narrative that you want people to associate you with. Your storytelling skills will come in very handy. Your confidence will give you the opportunity to confidently write about it at least 2 or 3 days in a week, because it's important to be consistent. And remember the Excel sheet that we talked about? Well, it comes to guide you through that you have not missed out on any particular thing. For instance, when you're creating your personal brand, I always tell somebody, can you analyze where you are by writing down maybe 5 of the WhatsApp groups you're in, 5 of the groups that you follow in LinkedIn, and 5 groups that you follow in Facebook and other people you follow in other platforms, and ask yourself, why am I here? Does it contribute to my growth? Does it contribute to my career? Those answers fully depend on whatever group you're in. But I always say, if it's a group for enjoyment, we have Google. If it's a group for empowerment and it gives you an opportunity to elevate yourself, ensure you narrow down the objective to who do you want to have a conversation with in that group, so that you're able to narrow down to how you're going to build your own personal brand. And finally, never ever think that it is not right to be in certain groups. People shy away to connect to people because they think, well, how will they tell me? How they'll think I'm not serious. They'll think I'm not in the right space. No, if there's no payment in that group, if you can join a book club and give you an opportunity to leverage with other ladies, I'll ask you for sure. Please do, because that is how you create your brand. And most of the time, creating your brand tends to be all based on your confidence, on putting yourself out there, your confidence in knowing that I want to move from the comfort zone that I'm in and I want to move to the next level. So the most critical thing here would be, how do I identify personal branding and how do I get it right? Review yourself and you'll be able to know where you need to work on. And finally, as I go through, what are the most critical things in getting it in your CV? Think about a few things. You've created your brand, you've done your storytelling, you've pitched, you have a mentor who's guiding you through. Everything that you have worked on, every skill that you have built up through either the mentorship session or through the different programs that you have signed up to, it's important you lay them down in your CV. And I state the summary is really, really important. You need to get it right. Actually, I always say the summary tends to change with each and every role that you apply, because think about it. When you're applying for a certain role, there's a high probability that you may not have ever worked or been in an exact named role. That's where you're able to put it in. And it's really important to get it right in doing a really good summary in your CV. Not so long, at least on average six sentences, narrow down to what you're really good at, what you're passionate about, and what you aspire to find yourself in. Then the other thing, and that's what we've just been talking about, is experience. Now, if you've got an opportunity to get a mentor, if you've got an opportunity to even volunteer anywhere, kindly add it. Make sure you're adding what is relevant. I always say, I just need to see the experience. I don't need to know your hobby, because if you're going to tell me you do mountain climbing and the organization you're applying for is for an NGO that just, wants to feed people, how is the mountain climbing and the NGO coming into relation? So it's important that whatever you have in your CV projects the right thing. And when it does, then it connects you to the hiring manager, because they'll be able to see, okay, our values resonate with what they are as a person, and they can be a really good additional team member to the team. And it's really, really important to just get it right, especially in the work experience. Other things I've always said that is crucial when you're just coming out, it's really, really important to just stand out in terms of what you're studying. Okay. Simple statistics. I've talked about LinkedIn.
We are getting close to the question and answer segment.
Yeah, I know.
Can you hear me, Dorcas?
Yes. So simple statistics that we have 738 million people in LinkedIn. Are you one of them? Think about it. See how you can get yourself there. And then, where are you in that 738 million? Are you between 18 to 55 as per the ratings and the figures that are there about Kenya? And if you're not, jump in and be part of the live resume for yourself and for your brand. And then finally, think about your digital footprint. It's really, really important. And even as you go through finding how you get or you identify good jobs, ask yourself a few questions. Am I ready to pivot myself to the next level? I really appreciate the time I've gotten with you, and I would really want to give you an opportunity to ask questions. Over to you.
Of course. Thank you so much, Dorcas. That was very, very enlightening. I have learned a lot from you, and we have so many questions. We have about 10 minutes to go through the questions. So let's start with this. Wanjiru Grace says, how do I know the next course I would need to do to improve, the next course of action I would need to improve my career and my CV? Actually, I think your entire talk was, there was a part of your talk that was about that. So let me change the question. Esther Mwara says, my question is, how do I position myself to be marketable again? What kind of opportunities should I be looking for? For example, entry level as an intern. Before I stopped working, I had roughly 3 years of experience.
Okay, let me start with that. When you're trying to pivot yourself back into the market, and I'll try and answer also one Jiko's question in this, it's really important to ask yourself, are you going back to the same industry you're in? And if the answer is yes, then there's a high probability that you would need to account for the gap. The gap is not a big problem. The gap is only accounted for in your CV. So it has to be critical. So if you entered into entrepreneurship, be very honest that you entered into entrepreneurship and you want to pivot yourself back to the corporate. And as you do, it's really important to figure out your 3 years experience. There's a gap in any industry. Growth keeps happening. And now jumping back to which skill, the growth that has happened in that industry would require you to, where you identify that, I always say it's a simple cheat sheet. Identify 5 great leaders in that industry and see what they have. Whatever that lacks, narrow it back and put it aside, and then ask yourself, what am I passionate about? I think I'd mentioned about personality test. That's the first place you start, because the personality test always triggers you back to what you're good at. Another question?
It's interesting that you spoke about the personality test, because we had someone who said the exact same thing last week, how she was able to use that to figure out what she wanted to do next. Next question. This person says, when applying for a job that is different, this is from Vivian, when applying for a job that is different from what you are currently doing, in the expertise section, how do I try to have this relate to the new job, given that during this period, I've been closely working with people in this field and have learned from them, even though I lack the expertise?
So the aspect here is lack of expertise, and I would say a slash of experience. Did you hear me,
Dorcas?
Yes, I heard you. I hope you can hear me.
All right, then I'm not sure if it's Dorcas's screen that is frozen or mine, but that person just asked, let me just take it again.
Okay, so I can't hear her, but just to answer the question of lack of expertise, I would probably say 2 things. One, you need to craft the language that area focuses on, because that's how you get it right. It's really, really important, because once you're able to craft it, you build up around it, but also you're able to understand how to narrate the kind of work that is being done in that area. It's really, really crucial to do that, because when you do that, then it elevates you and puts you at a very different level from the person who lacks the knowledge and the experience. So it's more about, are you able to explain how you can apply it? Yes. The next question.
All right, it seems our host is having technical issues, so I will take over from the questions until she joins in. So the next question, this is from Gray, says, how do I know the next course I would need to do to improve my career and my CV?
So Grace, I'll need more content in that. However, bouncing back to 2 things. So let me explain more about personality. So the personality traits attracts you to certain roles. And those roles tend to have a sequence on how they build up. So for instance, let me pick sales and marketing and advertising plus communications industry. Somebody is able to pivot and build themselves up through only sales and marketing and they focus on that area. However, if you find yourself cascading between sales and marketing, it will be really important to do a personality test, analyze what you're really good at. And that's why I was talking about performance management, and narrow down that what are you really good at? And you can simply do it, even by the closing your eyes. So you're simplifying it in what do you love doing and how good are you? Because we are not trying to change and shift completely our career paths. What we are trying to do is pivot ourselves to be experts from being either generalists in a few years, but the most critical thing is to understand where you are. So for you to know your next course, you'd need to know where you are and who you are. So the personality test will be the first trigger, and also your previous performance. What have you exceedingly done well? That would be the path to take you through and to guide you to the next step. And then you specialize by picking a course, either certification or I would say before even you think of even a master's, I would stick to getting a certification from a recognized international institute. Next question.
Okay, thank you, Dorcas. I hope you can hear me. We got disconnected for a bit.
Yes.
Of course, with these things, we always have technical issues. Now, this next question is an interesting one. Esther says, I took a 3-year break to take care of my kids. Right now, I am ready to get back to my career, and I'm really struggling to get a place. Where do I start?
First, congratulations on the child. So I'm assuming that 3 years. But most importantly, think about the last thing you were doing. Jumping back into the industry tends to feel hard, but you can still find your pathway. The first place I would actually tell you to think about reaching out to is actually the association or membership for your industry. That would be a first starting point. And if you're able to do that, it will pivot you into connecting with the right people. It will pivot you into getting to know what would be expected of you in terms of what are the current roles or the changes that have happened. I have done that before. I've stepped out of work for 9 months to take care of my son when he was small, and I still got a chance to bounce back. Always have the confidence to say it, but always know that if you lack the confidence, there's a high probability that somebody would make you doubt yourself, and sabotage or self-sabotage tends to be the worst. So reach out to your association, know what the latest trends are, and then first start by networking. And be ready most probably to start from entry or at least middle level, depending on your experience. Next question.
All right. Shaitan seems to be having a bit of technical issues, but I think we can take just one more question, and then we would end today's session. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. I'll take this one. It's from Lina. Lina says statistics has it that many jobs are not advertised. Close to 70 to 80% of jobs are not advertised. And many recruiters are looking for trusted referrals, or what we call through network. When this is the case, would you suggest that many people veer from cold applying because it is least likely to yield results? I think many people get discouraged because they are cold applying. Is it worthwhile, or should we mostly focus to networking?
So I'll agree on you on those statistics. It's true, not all jobs are posted. And actually, I mentioned that in the job search. The most critical thing here is, how are you using your network? And I would say yes, but still I would say no. So if you strategically align your job search engines, you should be able to get roles being advertised from really great organizations. But also remember, we talked about a mentor. We talked about mentorship in the sense that the mentor comes to pivot you and move you to the next level. The mentor is supposed to be your stepping stone. We talked about the person who's supposed to be a cheerleader. So you're actually going to use mentorship, but you're also going to use networking to leverage on the two, because you want somebody to have you as a first or top of mind. So anytime I'm talking to someone, if it's for instance, maybe somebody who I've worked with for like 2-3 years, but they've not kept in touch with me for 2-3 years, and they moved to a different place. What happens? There's a high probability they won't be top of mind. So how are you connecting to your teams? How are you connecting to your networks and your fellow colleagues that you used to work with in previous places? They should be able to refer you to a role without you even knowing, and you should be able to at least land into an interview based on the fact that you have been referred. That is really, really critical. So make use of your networking, and most critical is have conversations or write down or just post in your social media the kind of work you do. You get a following, people refer you, and people get to know you. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dorcas. We've been having so much, instability with the internet, but I've listened to your answers, and I'm hoping that those people that ask those questions, of course, have heard you and will take what you've said into account and start working on it. But before I let you go, you've shared so much with us today. Please let us know where we can contact you, of course, because there are people that would love to connect with you after this, before you leave.
Okay, so I would say very, very sure you can get me on phone, but most critical, I always say, because it's a young team, you can always just WhatsApp. It's very easy. If you send me any queries by the number I've posted, you'll be able to get the feedback that you require. You can get me on LinkedIn. I always connect with anyone. I always support anyone who reaches out to me in LinkedIn. You'll be able to access my credentials, I believe, in the advertisement for this summit. But the one thing that I'll tell you is, whatever question you have, I'll be able to tackle it, and I'll be able to reach out to another profession who can still support you. And that's it from me. And all the best in you grow your career. Don't be afraid, and just take the next leap. Yes, that's it for me.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Dorcas. Thank you for joining. And of course, everybody just give Dorcas a warm goodbye, even as she leaves. Thank you so much. Now we are moving on to if anybody is in Lagos right now, you know that it is raining, and that in fact is affecting our internet, but we move because we're confident women. Nothing is going to stop us. Now, the time is 10 a.m. Of course, it's probably 12 in Kenya. We're moving on to our next presentation. Who is excited for our next guest? I know I am. Okay, now next up is how to network for people who hate networking. This presentation is going to be given to us by Martha Karimi. Don't forget, I told you she's an author, she's a talent and innovation officer for emerging markets, and of course, a career reinvention coach. Now, have you ever been so scared of moving outside your comfort zone to have network with professionals, however delightful your immediate circle of friends and family may be? People you know can always or even usually help you find a great new job or other opportunities. So we have to contact people outside our familiar circles. Trust me, for someone who has to look for news and interview people, I probably network every other day without even knowing. But there are people out there that don't do it as easily as they want to. Now, our chances of finding new ideas, new leads, or introductions substantially increase if we reach out. Just reach out, okay? I want to see you reach outside your circle. Don't worry, I'm already starting to preach because I know how important networking is. Now, Martha is going to teach you how to help, how to help those who hate networking to network better. Now, before we begin, let me introduce you to this beautiful, confident woman who is going to tell us all about this. Martha Karimi is a multicultural leader who has spent the last 12 years recruiting and coaching thousands of individuals globally. She thrives at creating transformational spaces for individuals to unleash their true potential and own their authentic selves and lives freely. She is known to be a deeper thinker, a conscious creator, and a light-hearted spirit who creates magic through powerful conversations and ideas. Now, Martha has worked globally with top-listed Forbes companies, multinational corporates, fast-growing startups, and several organizations in international development. Currently, when not transforming careers, Martha also works as a concierge trusted advisor for forward-thinking and mission-driven organizations in Africa seeking their next level of growth. Many, if not all of the professionals she supports are on a transitional path to new levels in their careers. They desire something more. They desire change. Others are feeling stuck, but when they part ways, they leave feeling confident and clear on the type of career they want to build going forward. Don't forget that this is the Confidence in Action Summit. See what we did there? Now, they go on to make bold moves that accelerate their aspirations. Her own career path has been filled with joyful experimentation as she has served on various capacities as a teacher, a recruiter, a coach, an entrepreneur, a management consultant, a researcher, a farm manager, a project manager, a computer assistant, an event manager, and an instructional designer. Martha has done it all. These experiences have deeply reinforced her ideas and approaches in experimentation as a path for creating intentional and, most importantly, strategic careers. Now, Martha is the author of So You Feel Stuck in Your Career, 20 thought-provoking ideas, and 100+ self-coaching tools to awaken your inner guru and get you moving boldly. As an avid advocate of living happily, meaningfully, and balancing her career, a spirit she strives to live through a dedicated practice to yoga, meditation, and various forms of art, such as photography, music, and painting. Please give a warm welcome in the chat section for Martha. Do we have Martha on here?
Hi, Martha is experiencing slight issues, but she's coming in just 1 minute. Okay, Martha is here.
All right, then.
1 minute.
All right, then, which is very understandable. This always happens, you know, while living in the 21st century, 2022, we had a lot of things move from the physical to this new realm of like Zoom meetings. I don't know, why did we always have to drive to certain places for meetings when we could have just come on here on Zoom and done it? Okay, Martha is joining us now. She's of course was experiencing some technical difficulties, like we all do, and I can see we're kind of matching. Myself and Martha, we're giving them stripes,
so amazing.
Stripes on stripes. I love to see a confident woman. You have done so much. Please, Martha, teach us how to network.
Thank you so much. I was listening to your introduction and I was like, oh my God, I want to be that girl. I want to be that person you're describing. And I had to keep reminding myself it's me. So thank you you spoke about me powerfully. I truly appreciate that.
You're welcome. Please take it away. I can't wait to hear what you have for us in store today.
Fantastic. So let me share my screen. 1 second.
While we're waiting for you to share your screen, I was going to ask, you do yoga. So does that mean that you're very flexible? Because I've been trying to start yoga myself. And after the first day, there were some positions that they gave me and I'm like, what's going on here? I can't do this. Do you have to be a flexible person to do yoga?
That's the lie. Many people think you need to be flexible for you to be able to do yoga, but you actually do yoga so that you can be flexible. So the problem is many people look at the masters of yoga and then they're like, I can never do that. But that's not the point. You need to start the journey. So, and the interesting thing is we are not all flexible in the same ways. You know, there are things you can do I will never do in my life. And vice versa is true. So go for that class, Seitan. Awesome. So you can see my screen.
Talking about things that we can do, we can network.
Awesome.
Let's take it away.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, please. Please go on share slideshow. Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Got it. Great. Thank you so much, everyone who has joined us today. I can see we are about 287 of us. I'm so delighted to be here. I've been looking forward to this conversation for the last couple of months, ever since we had the first conversation with the team at Shield Africa. And I put together a couple of ideas. As the introduction was being done, there was something around reaching out. So I hope that the ideas that I share with you today can really support you to put yourself out there, to reach out to the spaces, to literally move yourself forward to where you should be, so that you can get the opportunities that you're looking for. So I will not say much more about myself because it's already been shared very beautifully. Thank you so much. But generally, I'm a very diverse person. I've spent a lot of years in recruiting and leadership development and supporting organizations and individuals explore their potential and build systems, whether it's personal systems or organizational systems that can help them get to their next level of success. And I'm also very multi-talented. I am interested in a lot of things. That makes my life interesting. And you will also start to see, as I share in this conversation, how all this diversity has helped me grow my own network. So we have about 40, maybe less than 40 minutes. So I'll try and move as fast as I can in maybe 30 or so minutes so that we can have more time for questions and answers. And there are main 4 ideas that I want to share with you today. One is finding what are the myths around networking. This session is called Networking for People Who Hate Networking. So what is it that we are afraid of or we have been told that is probably not so true, and we need to get rid of that idea and start thinking differently. We'll also start thinking about before I actually start reaching out to people or taking myself to certain spaces, how do I think about the goals that I want to achieve? And of course, once you get there, you will need to be able to speak yourself into the room like Seitan did on my behalf. So how do you speak yourself in the room? How do other people speak about you in the rooms that you're not in so that someone can give you a phone call? And finally, what are the secret skills of networking? So I want to start with about 2 stories. As I said, the introduction was very powerful for me. And I'm sure because many of us who are here hate networking, you're probably thinking, how did she do it? How did she grow this multicultural career, work in so many different countries, do so many interesting things? The truth is, I was never like this. Like many young people from across Africa, I grew up in the village. I only moved to the city to study. But when I was growing up and going to school, there was something that was very powerful that my mom used to always tell me, is that I am giving you education, and the rest of it, you have to go out there and create for yourself. So from a very young age, the idea of creating the life that I want and the life that I aspire for was at the center of everything I did. And this really, really became a seed for how I grew my network. So yesterday, speaking of yoga, it's quite a theme because I'm also currently in the middle of a yoga festival. Yesterday, I got a scholarship to do my 1-year yoga training program from a school in Germany. Now, this is from an institution led by people I have never met in my life. And how did this opportunity come to me? So 2 years back, ever since COVID started, I started thinking much more broadly about now that we were becoming more, we were all in the house, working from home, all networking events had been closed. And yet I had all these many amazing things I wanted to do for the next couple of years. How could I connect with people virtually? So one of my interests is yoga, and I have always wanted for the last couple of years to be a certified teacher. And so I started researching, and I found about 3 main options that could give me a scholarship, because the program is pretty expensive. And I narrowed that down to 2. And then I ended up over a period of 1.5 years, specifically talking to one lady who leads this school. And it turns out she is a Kundalini yoga teacher, but she's also a management consultant. So we clicked from the word go. And when I look back, I can see a lot of ideas that I'm going to share with you. So please remember that story. And then the other story is about how I found my coach. So my current coach is one of the top coaches in the world. Again, in the last couple of years, I think maybe I've worked with him for like 2 years now. I was online, and I was like, you know, when you're wasting time online, and I suddenly saw an ad, and I was like, who is this person? I like whatever he's talking about. I should check out what his brand is about, what type of coaching he does, what training he does, etc. And that ended up leading to several other interactions, following him on Facebook and his work. About 8 months later, they ran another scholarship program that I applied for and got. I don't know if I'm just lucky or it's my effort and intention. And 1 or 2 years later, I ended up working with him as my coach. So remember those stories, because they are going to really, really be part of what I share with you in the next few minutes. So the first objective I shared was about demystifying networking. So why does it terrify us? Oh my God, networking means people. So because many of us are introverted, then we start thinking that, when I talk to people, I get so drained. I don't want to talk to anybody. I can only talk to one person every 3 days. So that terrifies us because our focus is on the people. When you look at the 2 stories that I just shared, most of the focus for me was on what do I want to learn? What do I want to be? And then taking myself to those spaces. And that sort of takes away the pressure of, oh my God, I need to connect with these hundreds of people, and really narrows you down to who are the 3 recruiters who are actually working in the space that I want to work, and they are really good at it. Those are the people I need to connect with. I need to learn about how to get jobs in that space. I need to know how to package myself to be able to get these opportunities. So just doing that shift already reduces the pressure of, I don't like people. And then quality trumps quantity. I did a bit research. I narrowed down to 3. I connected with 1, and then I built a relationship over 1.5 years, so that when there was an opportunity for a scholarship, I still had to apply. I still had to compete with several other people, but I got it because over that 1.5 years, I truly developed the connection with this organization, and I knew what they are about, and I was able to align myself to what it is that they are looking for. And then the third one is about shifting your attention from you to them. And it kind of sort of connects with the first one as well. A lot of us, when we are networking, I get so many messages from random people on LinkedIn. Or even on WhatsApp, someone sent me, oh, my cousin is looking for a job. I just thought to send this to you. Martha, I'm looking to move from program management to business development. If you hear something, tell me. So there's a lot of I want something, I want something, I want something. And we are humans. So the minute the people you're asking for feel like there's too much they're being asked of, or like they are being used and there's no care in connecting with those people, then it ends up not really getting you the results that you want. So shift your attention to them. Get curious. You're talking to a recruiter about a job in sales. Get curious about what are the challenges they face recruiting for those types of positions. You're looking for your next scholarship or your next mentorship opportunity. Ask them, what type of people are they looking for? What will make a difference? Shift the focus to them. Want to learn about what they care about so that you can align yourself to them. And then, of course, the extroverts lie, yeah? And if you do a bit of research, and there's a lot of it online, you will realize that some of the most successful people that are out there are actually being introverts, yeah? People like Nelson Mandela. And it's quite interesting because we think of networking as going out there, and that's true, and you need high energy. But there's another energy that is needed that is slow, patient, building connection, that is much more grounded than vibrant and all over. So you kind of like need both energies actually to succeed. If you're too extroverted and you don't get to a certain level of connection with people, then you will not get to that moment where you ask for what you want. If you're too introverted, but your energy is too low, then maybe you don't show up in a way that you quickly build rapport with the people that you're looking to connect with. So those are the 4 myths that I wanted to share with you. Now, you can take a deep breath as we are shifting to something else. Setting your goals right. It's really important before you reach out to anyone to really take some time to think about what is it that you really, really want. And everything that's on this slide I hope that the slides will be shared later. Everything on this slide helps you in different ways to think about that. What's your career vision? Where are you headed? What type of spaces? When I talk about think holistically, don't just think about who can give you a job. Think about all your hobbies and all your interests and take yourself more to those spaces, because you never know. Right now where I am, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm attending a yoga festival, but I also do so many other different things. Yesterday, I was talking to someone who was sharing with me the challenges of building her team in her business. She's an entrepreneur. So now we have another meeting to later talk about, okay, how can I support you in that? So think broad, don't limit yourself in just like building network with people in my career path. Think wild, think big, because you never know who has what opportunity. In my book, I talk about social recruiting and how it's a game of you never know, because you never actually know who has what opportunities. So don't limit yourself. And I talked about learning lenses earlier. And then know how your success looks like. Yeah, don't compare. Someone might seem like they're all out there, they're connected to all these people, but there's nothing really happening. Know what success looks like. If success for you is to connect with X number of people in gender and innovation in gender for Africa, or women economic empowerment in Africa for the next 6 months, because right now I'm doing project management in let's say health, but I want to move more into leadership and economic empowerment. So for the next 6 months, I'm just going to connect with these people working in that space, and then focus on that. Don't get distracted by someone else who is going in a totally different direction. And then make it fun, take action. Don't be so stressed about it. Like, yeah, because your energy is everything. If you're too stressed, if you're like, oh my God, I have 100 people to connect with, and then you get overwhelmed. One step at a time, and have fun while at it. Now, the other thing that really terrifies us is, how do I speak of myself? Yeah. So our host, Satan, really did a good job about speaking about myself and introducing me to the room, And it's taken me years and years and years to craft that. And I still keep, like, someone said pieces of that bio a few weeks ago, and I was like, I don't like that. So creating your pitch there are two things here. It's about awareness, and it's also about practice. So the more you become aware of yourself, the more you become aware of your strengths and why you're doing what you're doing and what spaces, career spaces and professions you want to pursue, the easier it becomes to talk about yourself. And then these 4 points really: choose words that move and matter. This is really important because you want to build rapport and connection very quickly. So take some time to research the people, the organizations or networks that you want to reach out to and really get to know what is it that they are about, so that when you're speaking to connect in relation to the second point. You're speaking in a way that you're speaking the same language, you're speaking authentically and from the heart, and you're connecting with them genuinely on something that matters to them and to you. Of course, you might ask, how do I speak authentically? The truth is, you know when you're trying so much, when you're trying to say things that don't feel natural to you. Those are the moments you pause yourself and actually say what you really, really want to say. And as I said, customize your pitch. Don't be rigid. You realize that as you're growing in your career and as you're moving in different spaces, what you say, how you say it, really, really changes. One of the tools that I would love to recommend here is you can watch later on YouTube a video. I think it's called by Simon Sinek on creating your why. So he takes you through this methodology of why, what, how, and what. And I always use that tool to help people think about how do you speak yourself? How do you first connect from the heart? And then how do you talk about your unique value? And then talk about what you actually do. Many people start with, I am a project manager. There's not much connection there. But if you say, what really, really drives me is seeing efficiency in how organizations are run, cutting down costs and building sustainable solutions for organizations and for communities. You're speaking in a different words. You're using words that are powerful, words that are moving the other person listening to you. And you're still talking about project management. And then, of course, practice, practice, practice. Finally, is the secret skills of networking. So I've already brought up a few things, how you think about your pitch. And I earlier shared about all the ideas about how to shift where your focus is. Now, what you realize on these skills, they may not be the common things you think you need to be able to be a great networker, but they are really, really what matters. People will give you opportunities. People will connect with you. People will create time for you. People will listen to you if you're demonstrating these, I think there are these five skills. One is curiosity. I am genuinely interested to learn more. I connected with a lady earlier this week on LinkedIn, and she told me she had retired at 39. And I was like, whoa, how did you do that? Yeah. So I reached out to her to ask her for something else, but I totally stopped talking about myself and what I wanted. And I spent a couple of minutes learning from her how she built her business, how she succeeded in like building a stable income. And we talked for several minutes, and then we came back to what I was actually looking for. So be genuinely interested in what people are saying and follow up on it so that they can see that you're curious about them and you're just not there to get something for yourself. And then, of course, be authentic. As I mentioned earlier, you know when you're trying too hard. You know when you're using words that are not yours. You know, you feel it in your body. take all that, drop it slowly by slowly, and show up as your powerful self. Genuine eye care. Yeah. So, and especially this is something that, especially if you were to narrow down this conversation just to getting jobs, a lot of recruiters, I also wear the hat of recruitment. A lot of times we see a lot of like messages and communication where it's job seekers and recruiters. Of course, sometimes it seems like there's a big war in between, but it's so fascinating that, of course, that sometimes we receive messages and we are like, I am a human, you know, like this message could have been addressed in a different way. So genuinely show that you care, but also like even a happy new year. Like I get messages on LinkedIn on 2nd January. Hi, do you have any opportunities in XYZ? Yeah. So show some humanity in your communication. If someone says something that they are not able to support right now, say, I totally understand. Kindly let me know, when can I get back to you for support? And then listening is very, very highly connected to curiosity, because then it helps you know, how do I build this conversation? What else can I offer them? Where can I support them if they need support? Yeah, so then you're really going deeper. And again, networking is about relationship building to get to that level where you eventually get what you want. But you can only get there if you're learning and navigating and dancing around those conversations in a genuine, interesting way. And then many people don't get what they want because there's no follow through. Yeah, so don't just start conversations to start conversations. That's why where we started, having a vision, knowing what you want is really important. And then consistency, because if you don't follow up, the next time you approach that person, they'll be like, no, this person doesn't follow up. I have one, and recruiters also actually do remember. I wrote an article on this a few days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that recruiters actually do remember you. You know, I had a candidate that I met him 1.5 years ago, and he was perfect. And I knew that he could have taken that specific job in that organization, but they ended up with someone else. And it was okay, because I knew he's gonna get a job with some of the organizations that I work for. So when he got a job earlier this year with one of the organizations that I work with, he was really like, wow, Martha, I can't believe you remember me. Of course I remember you. You are a great person. You have well packaged your skills. You kept updating me on where you are and the opportunities you're still looking for. Of course I remember you. So it's really important to follow through, and to follow through in a way that you're leaving a mark, and a way that people can actually remember you for who you are and what you have to offer. So I think that's it. Thanks for listening. That was a long speech, and I'm not one who does speeches. So I'd love to pause now and take all your questions in the remaining time.
It wasn't long enough. That was a very, very interesting speech. And I think it's really important when you talk about consistency, because there are lots of times when you reach out to people and you just feel that because you haven't gotten the response you want, you kind of step back and, cower. But that's not necessarily the case. It's just when they're dealing with multiple people, you need to stand out in a certain way. But let me not take the questions away from the confident women in the chat section. Now, the first person here, Christine, says, I would like to know how I can go about transitioning from my employment in Kenya to getting an employment in another country. Is there any link of credible agents who can help someone find a job internationally?
So,
are you with us, Martha?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So,
yes,
it's a brilliant question.
Please go on.
It's a brilliant question, and it's also extremely vague. Which country? What's your current job? Where do you want to go? What is your current role and what do you want to transition to? Yeah, so those are the extra questions that I would ask to it. Are we talking about transitioning over the next 6 months or over the next 2-3 years? The countries that you want to go to, even before you find a recruiter or an international placement company, the countries that you want to go to, have you truly researched to see what if they have the opportunities that you want and whether those opportunities will give you the level of fulfillment that you want in your life? Sometimes you move to a country, it has a great job, it's not the right place for you to live. So even before you look for that, I would start there. So I cannot answer you because I recruit people to work in the US, to work in Asia, to work in the whole of Africa. So I can help you if I knew the answers to all these questions. So any global recruiter has this opportunity.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah.
Yes. Christine, if you are listening, it would be nice if you could still go back to the question and answer box to put in more details so that Martha can answer your question, hopefully. But let's move on to the next person now. Wathera says, how do I network or connect in a way that is genuine? How do I make it such that it does not come off as just wanting to get something from the other person, but also adding value to them as well?
Great. You kind of have the answer at the end of your question in a way that part of it is in a way that adds value to them. How do you know that you can add value to them? By being genuinely curious about what they care about, what they're excited about, what their future plans are. Again, I'm using vague sentences, but they apply. If it's a scholarship program, it's the same questions. If it's our job, this organization, this HR manager or this head of department, what is their biggest pain point in their department right now? Is that something you can support in? So the curiosity and the genuineness in getting to know what are their struggles helps you know and align yourself to how you can add value. But it just doesn't end there. You need to know what is your value. So the self-awareness on the strengths and your ability to create solutions for organizations and how you uniquely do that in comparison to everyone else also needs to be clear. And then the third part of it, of course, is more about communication and how you speak. And I think that's a whole other different conversation that we can't have now. But I think if you just start there, you're one step closer.
Okay, so I think Christine has gotten back to us and she says that she's currently in healthcare management in Kenya and she's interested in Canada as a country. But I believe it's probably a conversation that you can have once you connect and network with Martha, once we're done with this particular summit. But let's move on to the next question now. This person says that, let's just give me 1 second. She says that she has been critiqued many times for being too straightforward in her requests. Is there a structure or a practical way that she can approach improving her networking skills?
What's the name of the person?
Cynthia McKenna.
Cynthia, I love to play. Coaching is about playing. So I'm going to play with you, Cynthia. Ask me for something. Let's see how your straightforwardness is.
Cynthia, if you're
okay, you can just raise up your hand and I'll give you permission to speak.
Awesome. So while we're waiting for Cynthia to raise her hand up, let's move on to the next question. Where Theo says, when does following up on an opportunity become too much? Is there a limit between being consistent and nagging? I think this is a very important question as well.
Absolutely. So always ask the other person when is a good time to follow up. so that you're sort of like shifting the responsibility to them for them to give you guidance. So then they'll tell you 2 weeks or in a week's time. So then you don't have to feel the pressure seated there. Is it 2 days? Is it 3 days? Have I been doing this so much? So especially when you connect on for the first time and there's follow through that's needed, always ask for that. Things become nagging if, for example, you've already been told it's in 2 weeks' time, we'll get back to you, but you're already asking in between the 2 weeks. Yeah. Things become nagging if someone has already told you, I'll get back to you, and then you're still asking 2-3 more times. So it's really like a dance. You want to be smart as well. If you ask someone for something and they tell you twice that they'll get back to you, pause and wait. Yeah, so you kind of have to use a lot of emotional intelligence to know, to sense what's happening on the other side and make the right action. Take the right action. And if you can, I think there was one point earlier on empathy, I care. Stop thinking like yourself, put yourself into this person's shoes and ask yourself, if I responded right using right now, does it seem nagging? Would it be nagging to me? If the answer is right, yes, then you know you're being nagging. So you kind of have to be playful in these ways.
Thank you.
All right, then. I think we have Cynthia. Cynthia McKenna has raised a hand, and she has said that she's been critiqued for being too straightforward in her requests. Well, Cynthia, you have a chance. You're a lucky winner at the Confidence in Action Summit because you get to ask our speaker here today, Martha, a direct question. I'm going to open the mic for you, Cynthia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Okay, so yeah, it's true that I have been critiqued before many times for going straightforward. I can call someone and then immediately they ask me, Hakuna salamu, or there are no greetings, because I go straight to the point. So if I was going to ask Martha anything, I guess I would just go straight to Martha. Can I have a cup of tea with you? We talk about, your yoga classes or something like that.
Yeah. So as Martha, I wouldn't mind. I love tea and I love yoga.
Yeah.
And not something that people ask me, can I have a cup of tea? It sounds exciting. Let's do that, right? I want more people living consciously. So I wouldn't mind because I care about those things. When you are speaking, I was trying to empathize with everybody else, and I could see that gap for, hi, how are you? Is it a good time to speak? I've been meaning to, there's something I would love to talk to you about. When is a great time for me to share with you what it is? Then maybe I'll tell you, let's talk tomorrow at 2. It's okay if you only have, it only takes us 1 minute and you tell me, actually, I just wanted to tell you, when can we have coffee or tea, and go for, as you share about your yoga experiences. So empathy, I care. Depending on the amount of self-awareness and deeper work people have done on themselves, it really influences how people receive how we communicate. Yeah. So, yeah, I think greetings generally, asking people how they are and asking for permission to present your request is a good approach to sort of reduce that impact that is likely to be felt by more people than Martha. Does that help, Cynthia?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
And yes, we can have tea and talk about yoga. Find me on LinkedIn later.
Yes, I love it. Look at us. We're connecting people. That's all the Confidence in Action Summit is about. Of course, you're going to meet like-minded women. Now, Ruth Ogendi is asking a very important question. She says, is going to random networking events, even ones not related to her field or career plans, to practice a good strategy to improve her networking skills? Is that something that she can do?
I love these questions. You guys, you're amazing. I love them because I love to play. So I'm just playing with the questions in my head in so many different ways. I used to organize parties, a lot of parties before COVID, random parties, Halloween, or someone's birthday, Christmas, and I would have a blast. I loved it because I'm a big picture person. I love to create ideas, and then I love to bring people together and just see them witness and experience something magical. And while it's parties I was organizing, I was not learning how to organize parties. I was learning how to create transformational experiences. So people would come to these parties and be like, OMG, this is like the best party ever. You guys are awesome. How did you do this? I'm so happy. We would have to chase people from the house at 3 a.m. So my unorthodox response is, you can do whatever you want to up your game on your pitch, on how you talk about yourself, on how you connect with people that you don't know. Yet, you still need to be mindful about that word random. Yeah? Because remember where we started, have a vision. I'm sure if you write that vision, if you write 100 things that interest you, and you use those as your playing ground for practicing your pitch, you won't have anything random. You will have 100 things to follow through. So then it reduces the amount of random stuff. So you can still be intentional and spontaneous at the same time, remembering where you're going. Because a lot of times you can go to spaces where nobody's speaking your language. People came here to do other things. Not worth your time.
Thank you. Thank you for that. The next question is from an anonymous attendee. She says, how do you pivot from work that is available? That's what she says here for available is work that you do for the money, to work that you are passionate about, but it is harder to find. I feel lost in the telecom world and would love to pursue my dream in the hospitality world.
You know, I might just have a job for you.
Ooh. And the person is anonymous. So maybe you want to.
Anonymous. So that's a problem. I can't see your brand. Huh? And wow. I would only say read my book, to be honest. Transition, I can tell you what is so difficult about transitioning. People don't spend, people wake up and they want to transition next week. I'm tired with my current job. I want to move like next month. There hasn't been any thinking around where am I going? Do I have enough savings? How long can my savings last? Do I have the right networks and have I started the right conversations that will get me the opportunities that I want over the next 6 months or 1 year? So you want to first get very clear on hospitality, doing what in hospitality, because there are so many career paths in hospitality. 2, you want to start building your network. 99% of transitioning in your career is network. That's it. Network, and then of course, being very clear about your transferable skills. And then the other part of it is, what are you doing as you're waiting to transition? Are you already working 2 hours every week in the hospitality space instead of going to party, for example? Yeah, so transition is not something we arrive to. It's like we wake up, we get there. It's a journey that we start, and you need to be strategic around it on some of these issues that I just raised.
Very, very important issues, of course, that you raised there, Martha. This next question is an interesting one. It's from Lucy, and she says, how do you deal with people, someone superior to you at work who constantly views you as a threat and has tried so much to put you down, including redelegating your duties to other people and trying to make you feel like the organization can do without you, but not without them? So I think this is a case of maybe bullying, but maybe indirect bullying, so to speak, someone who is in a superior role. How do we deal with that, Martha?
What's the name of the person?
Her name is Lucy Njenga.
Lucy. So Lucy, if you can connect with me after, I can support you in navigating that issue uniquely for yourself. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yet it's not a unique issue for anybody. We all once in a while live through bosses and work experiences that are not human at all. The first most important thing to always remember is that it's not about you. Yeah, nothing anybody does is about you. It's about them projecting what is going on inside them to you. Now, you may not believe me, and it might be very, very hard for you to get to that level where you're like, booster state, it's actually not about me and I'm going on with my life, but it's actually the truth. So just keep reminding yourself of this and hold, I think for those moments, what's really important is to hold space for yourself and to kill all judgments that will get you into a rabbit hole of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, and then anxiety comes, and then instead of you using the little energy you have left to actually find a better opportunity, all that goes into feeling horrible. So then you're stuck there with a bad boss, a bad workplace, and no energy to take yourself out of it.
Sorry, I was lost in what you were saying. I forgot I was the host for a second there. That's very important. I mean, when you put it like that, when you say it's not about you, it's about them, that really turns the perspective back on them, changes the dynamic. Thank you so much. The person who says she's passionate about hospitality, but is stuck doing telecommunications, she's just gotten back to us. Her name is Tracy Gattoni. But please feel free to reach out to Martha as soon as this particular session is over. I'm going to try to take one more question because Martha has to leave us very soon. This person here, Nelly, says that she's a young Kenyan lady who is struggling a lot with her confidence. She just graduated in December and is finding herself feeling inadequate, even though she knows the efforts that she has made in improving her skills are solid. So her question is, what advice would you give to her to get out of her shell and network and be, while still being confident and honest about her place in her career moving forward?
Her name?
Her name is Nelly Nakero.
Nelly, as you've said, you've already done solid work. You've done enough. And you can do more. Yeah. So the results of networking and building relationships may not always be fruitful, like in the immediate. It's not instant gratification. I've taken 1.5 years to get this scholarship. It took me 2 years to work with my coach. It took me 10 years to become a coach. It took me 20 years to write a book. Yeah. So if you genuinely feel you've done enough, appreciate that and then ask yourself, what did I learn today that can inspire me to do things different and to do more? And you just graduated. You have a whole life ahead of you to work. Relax.
Oh man, I miss my graduation days when I had the world was my oyster. Okay, we can still sneak in one more question. And this last question is from Lena Kamau. She says, first off, that it's very interesting that you have worked in different countries. She thinks it's amazing. But as a young professional who is overwhelmed by all the choices with the world going global, do you advise that as a young professional, she pursues global training or local certifications? What is the best for a progressive future?
None of those. It's another trap. It's another trap of what do I study, right? No, start with how do I see myself living my life? How do I want to contribute with my strengths? What excites me and how do I want to spend most of the time and that I would want to spend most of the time doing that. And then study that. Then there's the question of quality. Of course, it's not a question of local versus global. Yeah, it's a question of what program is actually going to give me the skills and the competencies and the exposure that I need. Yeah, so again, there will be need for more details. It'll be need to know what is exactly that you want to study, and then how do all schools in the world compare? I always start from the top. I get the best coach in the world. I get the best yoga teacher in the world. I'm not gone to my MBA school because I've not found one that connects with my soul yet. I start here and then I will figure out whether I want to go down. So choose the best for yourself. It doesn't matter where it is. And if you have the resources, then go for it. Yeah. Yeah, and then see what happens from there. I think this question of local, global,
it's a trap.
It's a trap, and it's too limiting. You know, you just have to look at two options. No.
Yes. All right, then. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have for questions and answers. Thank you all for sharing your questions with me, and of course with Martha, for sharing your insights with the audience. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure learning from you today. And now I'll let you say goodbye to the audience and let them know where they can connect with you after the summit.
Thank you so much, Seitan. Is that how you say your name? Like Seitan?
Yes, yes. So it's Sheitan. Sheitan.
Jaitan.
Sheitan. Yes.
You know, we have like 4 minutes. I have a friend who adds a tag to her email of how to pronounce her name. So then when
I think I'm gonna give that a try.
Yeah, I can look later and find out what app that is. So you listen and then you're like, I'll never know it's Jaitan. Like there's that. It's lovely. Thank you so much for hosting. This was wonderful. I hope you all took away a few new ideas. It doesn't matter whether you took 5 or whether you took 10 or whether you took 100. What's really important is whatever you took away from today, act on it tomorrow consistently. This is a game of dancing through, failing, and rising up again. Yeah, there's no masters in networking, but with one small step at a time, you can get there. If you want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. Should I post my LinkedIn link?
Yes, you can post it in the chat section, of course, and you can just say it on here as well for people who want to just take it down manually on their phone.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Martha D. Karemi. I will be, oh, it's here. Sorry, I get confused with webinars. Yes, you'll find me there. In case you need any support, please do let me know. I currently have about 30 hours of pro bono. So I might just be generous for the next 6 months to support you. So when you reach out, be very specific. What is it about this? What did you take away from this session? And what is one thing I can support you in? And then I can see over the next couple of months where I can slot you and be able to serve you. And I have a lot of articles as well. So I'm sure if you read them, you'll also find some of the answers you're looking for. It's been wonderful. Thanks for tuning in.
I feel like I'm probably going to take 10 hours of the pro bono. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Martha. Thank you again. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. As you can see, the chat section is going crazy. You've done an amazing presentation today. Do enjoy the rest of your day. And of course, we will be in touch.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
All right, then. Wow, that was, wow. You see, I love summits like this. I'm already feeling confidence and I've not even walked out of the room yet. So imagine the great things that we're going to do when this summit is over. Now, who is ready? Hey, who is ready for the keynote speech? Now, this is the last speech, not the least, but it's going to be so interesting, all right? Everyone's career will hit turbulence at some point. Now, if you have ever faced a significant challenge in getting the best job offer in general, can you just raise your hands in the chat section? Raise your hands if you've ever gotten a job offer that you looked at the job offer and said, what is this? Yes, this is for you. It is not always easy to overcome those challenges, and your toughest one might be the art of negotiating the best offer for yourself and your career. Now, in this keynote speech, Joanne Thuo will talk to you about the sweet art of negotiating the best job offer. Now, let me introduce you to who is going to be giving us this speech. Now, Joanne is a career coach with a strong HR background and a proven track record of achieving results. She excels at career coaching, interview preparation, presenting client skills in a compelling manner, and boosting clients' confidence in the process. She founded Joanne Winning CV with the belief that every job seeker, no matter the level of employment or industry, needs a well-crafted CV. A 5-star optimized LinkedIn profile. Oh my God, I'm lacking in that category. I feel like this entire summit has been just the people sobbing me that I need to go and update my LinkedIn. I promise I will do it after this is over. And a cover letter that tells the story of their career and makes the reader sit up and take notice, because you want your employers to do that when they see your CV. You want them to take notice. Now, Joanne is on a mission to help individuals obliterate the glass ceiling and soar all the way up the corporate ladder and take a seat at the big boss table. You want to chill with the big boys? Yes, where they belong. She utilizes her expertise to help individuals overcome self-doubt so they can confidently articulate their value on paper, online, and most importantly, in person. She helps helping people position themselves for success in today's highly competitive job market, both globally and locally. After working with her, clients have landed their dream jobs. They've doubled their previous salary after almost giving up from months of no interviews. They have gone from absolutely no callbacks to several interviews lined up. They have been recruited for high-level positions and built enough confidence to actually turn down offers because they weren't the right fit. You know, I'm guilty of this. It's very hard for me to turn something. Once they just say money is involved, I'll be like, oh, I can use this money to buy A, B, C, D. But there are some jobs that you actually need to turn down if it's not the right fit. With storytelling in her blood, utilizing this skill set, she authored Purposeless Bride and recently published a podcast dubbed Career Wise, which seeks to help individuals scale upwards in their career journey. She has also featured in TV and radio shows, some of which include Career Danger Signs by NTV, Interview Preparation and CV Writing by Radio Maisha, use of social media for employment opportunities by Blaze Spaces, and qualifications versus experience by Family Radio. Please don't forget to engage with us on social media at She Leads Africa, at Darling Nigeria, and of course the hashtag CIA Summit Kenya. That's CIASUMMIT Now I'm going to hand you over to Joanne, who is patiently waiting. Is she waiting for us? Let's see. I think Joanne is probably, getting warmed up and just putting her slides and everything, crossing her T's and dotting her I's. But she's going to be with us very, very, very shortly to tell us everything that we need to know about negotiating. You see, money is, you guys, I'm telling you, money is very important. But because of how important it is, sometimes we put it over what we deserve, what we should take home. And there are people that that take advantage of the fact that they know that you need that job, they know that you need that money, so they take advantage of it. Isn't it possible? Why do people say, oh, okay, you are new, you don't have experience, so what we will do is we will give you we'll give you an opportunity so that people can see you, but we won't pay you 100%, we'll pay you 30% because of exposure. In fact, I want to find out, is there anybody that has gotten that line where you are trying to get a certain role? Maybe you don't necessarily have as much experience as you should have, but then the person in charge is saying, okay, we'll pay you 30% and we'll give you exposure. Has that ever happened? I'm seeing 5 people raising up their hands. I'm seeing more people raising. So it has happened to you too. Oh my goodness. Exposure. Sometimes you can have that exposure and you can still negotiate what you deserve. And that is what our keynote speech is going to be about today. Don't forget what I've already told you about Joanne. After working with her clients have they've landed dream jobs. If you want to land your dream jobs, let me see you raise your hands. They have doubled their previous salary, doubled. You know what it is to double your salary in this Africa? Hey, it's hard though, it's very hard. But after people have worked with Joanne, they've been able to double their salaries after almost giving up hope from months of no interviews. Oh my goodness, Joanne is here. She looks beautiful in brown. She's going to join us very soon. And you know how it is. Sometimes we have these technical issues, but she's going to be with us very shortly. Apart from that, I was still talking about Joanne. Joanne has done a lot. People. She has built enough confidence. She has helped people build enough confidence to actually turn down job offers simply because they were not the right fit. Do you know where you need to get to? Do you know the confidence level that you need to have for them to say, oh, take this job, take this money? You'll be like, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to look at my CV. I'm going to see if it's the right fit. Oh, no, it's not the right fit. So I'm going to walk away. Do you know how hard it is? I do. And Joanne is going to help us realize how to develop this skill. Don't forget that she has also, because she has storytelling in her blood, she has done this a lot of times. She has helped people, individuals scale their career journeys upward. Joanne, if you're with us, please, can you put your camera on? We'd like to see your beautiful, gorgeous face, and we can kick off the keynote speech. Do we have Joanne with us?
Hi.
Yes. Hi, Joanne. You look beautiful this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege and honor, and I'm extremely delighted to be here. Extremely, extremely delighted and privileged. So thank you very much.
All right, then I'm going to hand it over to you. Please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As you've heard, guys, my name is Joanne Thuo. I'm a career coach by profession. So in a nutshell, what I do is I work very closely with individuals to help them increase their chances of landing jobs, be it in terms of, their CVs, their LinkedIn profiles, their cover letters, interview prep, career coaching, career mapping, basically anything that someone needs to do to increase the chances that they land jobs. That is what I do. I've been doing this for a while, but before that, I worked for quite a number of years in HR. So I've sat on the other side of the interview, and because of being on the other side of the interview, I could see some of the challenges that people are facing, and so I decided that I really wanted to work closely with individuals to try and help them increase their chances of of them landing jobs. So I'm very delighted to be here today. Very, very delighted to for us to kick off this session today on salary negotiation. And you'll just give me a minute as I share my screen. Just give me a minute.
That's not a problem. We are here. We are ready for you. All right, then if our technical team could just help Joan just with the setup over there so she can share her screen, and everyone who's been waiting to hear this wonderful keynote speech can participate fully. Do we have it on the screen now?
All right. Hi, Joanne. Get started. I will share your screen from my end.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Or okay, yeah. Just.
Yes, we're already having people in the chat section just saying they love your work, Joanne. There are people on here who follow you on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and I can't wait to hear what you have in store. Of course, now we're beginning to see your screen. Yes, so we can see your screen now. Let's hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great. So even before we start, let me just say that I know most of us really are afraid when it comes to negotiating our salaries. I've worked with so many people, to say confidently that most of us hardly ever negotiate our salaries. So we believe that when you've gone for, you've applied for jobs, and of course, all of us know it's very difficult, sending out applications, doing your CV, doing your LinkedIn profile, sending out applications. Then finally, you've gotten, you've gotten this job and you've gotten an offer. So in our minds, we tend to believe that it's almost automatic that we should get the first offer that comes. So most of us, I would say like maybe 75% of people would never negotiate for the pay. Whatever it is you're given, that is what you go home with. And this is something that that can really affect and ruin your career, especially if you get into an organization that really don't care about the person or the employee, and so they're really concerned about their bottom line. So if they offer you let's say $5,000, if that is what they said they have, and you take that offer without negotiating, and maybe your worth is $10,000, it means you're starting off your career at a place that is not where your peers are. And the problem about not learning how to negotiate is you not having to change that later on becomes very, very difficult, because if you're earning $5,000 and let's say 3 years down the line, you probably they've probably added your salary and now you're at $6,000. When you go for your next job, you'll be negotiating from $6,000. So if let's say your worth at the very beginning was $10,000, you see how it's going to be very difficult to move from 6,000 to even say 15 or 20. So this topic is really, really critical to your career, whether you're starting out, whether you find yourself in a place where you're not earning, what the value that you bring to your organization is, or it could be that you're probably thinking about changing careers. This topic is really, really critical, and I hope that we are going to really be present during this presentation. I wouldn't say that you should write things, but I would really want you to be present in terms of understanding, so that then from from this session today, when you go back home or when you go back to your place of work, you'll really, really, really think about salary negotiation, differently. And if you've not been doing it correctly, my hope and prayer is that now you'll start doing it correctly. So I don't know if you've ever gone for an interview, and then so you've sent out applications, you've gone for this interview, they've given you an offer. And then you look at that offer, and because I know of employers who, sometimes they make you sign the offer there and then, which is actually not supposed to happen. You're supposed to take that offer, go home with it, think about it, and then give them an answer. But some of them, like, they've given you an offer, and then they'll tell you something like, we don't normally offer, our new employees this kind of money. So trying to make you feel like, you're actually very lucky that they're offering you, let's say it's maybe like $500. So you're very lucky that we're offering you $500. So, are you going to, accept this offer or not? Or maybe they like during the interview, they asked you for, what is your salary expectation? And then you said, my salary expectation is $1,000. And then they ask you something like, so if we offered you $8,000, are you going to accept the offer? And if it's not something that you've thought about, or if you're not very confident about negotiating an offer, you're going to really they're going to have you in a very tight spot. And of course, you'll probably just sign it, or maybe you wanted $10,000, and then because they've said they only have $8,000, you're going to take that $8,000. And so the first thing I would really want to say is negotiating for a salary or asking for more than you're being what the organization has offered you is something that is very normal. So you're not going to be the very first person in this world who's who said they want something more than is being offered at the table. You're not going to be the first person, and you're not going to be the last person. So the first thing that you want to understand is that it's something that is normal. It's not unusual at all. No one is going to think that you're greedy. No one is going to not give you the job, the job because you've asked for something more. So the secret is how you are going to go about it. So let me just make it very clear that you asking, you negotiating, that's not unusual, that's not abnormal. You're not the very first person, and you're not going to be the last person to negotiate a salary. So you must have that in your mind, that it's something, it's normal, it happens every day. So in fact, when you want to negotiate, when you want to ask for something more than the employer is offering you, they won't think it's something unusual because they've seen it over and over again. So the first thing is that you have to remember that it's something that is very normal. Now, how you go about negotiating the salary is now what is key, because then you don't want to go for an interview and then maybe the budget for this role was something like, let's say it was $15,000. You see how if you said you wanted $20,000, everyone, or maybe like you said, you wanted $50,000, everyone in the panel would start maybe like looking at each other and just wondering, okay, maybe this person is a little bit, very expensive for us. So there are certain things that you want to have in mind before negotiating. So there are certain key things that you want to think about before you embark on negotiating your salary. And the first thing is you have to do your market research. So you want to do your research in terms of for this particular, for this particular position that I've gone to interview for, or for this particular position that I want to ask a raise for, or for this particular position that I'm thinking of getting, the people who are working at the level that I'm trying to get into, how much are they being paid? And you want to think about it if it's a Kenyan, or it's someone in South Africa, or it's someone in Nigeria, how much are they being paid? How much is an entry level marketing associate paid in Kenya, in South Africa, and in Nigeria? And in Kenya, how much is a marketing associate paid in Safaricom, in IBM, in large organizations, so like in large local organizations, and you want to compare, so that by the time you're going for an interview and you're saying that I'm looking at $1,000 for this particular position, you already have done your research and you're sure this is what people in that position are being paid. So you're researching the industry, you're researching the different countries, and you're also researching the level. So you're researching the industry, the level that you're getting into, and also like different countries, so that then you're at par. So that then when you're giving the figure that you're thinking about, maybe they offered you $800 and you're saying, I want $1,000 because of 1, 2, 3, or you're backing that up with some research that you have done. Please do not go for an interview without researching the market data for that particular position that you're interviewing for, because you never want to overquote and you never want to underquote. You want to be just right. So you have to do your market research. And then the second thing that you want to think about is, what is your value proposition? And as I've said, like, what unique experiences and unique attributes do you, as as Jane and Irene and Angela, what are you bringing to the table? Because then this also is going to really determine the amount of money that you're asking for. Did you have a first class honors? Did you do internships, like throughout campus? Because of course, if you've done a 4-year degree and throughout these 4 years you worked in marketing, you see how you cannot ask for the same amount of money as someone who went to campus and did not do any kind of internship, didn't do any kind of volunteer, so they have zero experience. But maybe you, from first year, you are doing internships, you're doing volunteer, you are in, you took on projects, marketing projects. So by the time you're finishing, you're actually finishing your degree with some experience. So of course, if you have some experience, then when you're going to negotiate, when you're in the negotiating table, you can say, I graduated top of my class. I got, a summa cum laude in marketing. I have 4 years experience because I started working, I took on projects when I was a first year, and the particular project in marketing that I did was XYZ. And in this particular project, these were my direct contributions in my capacity as a marketing, maybe a marketing intern. And so I believe a salary of $1,000 would be, close to the value that I'm bringing, but I'm open to a negotiation. So you have to know the kind of value that you're bringing to the table. And that's why I always insist on, whether you're in school or you're doing an internship or you're doing a volunteer or you've taken a special project, always be an extra miler. You cannot afford to be an average person in this day and age, because whether you're in Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, the job market is extremely competitive. No employer wants to hire average. So when you're going for an interview, for you to be able to negotiate, you have something, you need to have something, inside of you that is going to help you negotiate. And if you've been an extra miler, if there are certain things that you've done and contributed, those are the things that are going to help you negotiate. Those are the things that you're going to tell your employer that, thank you very much for offering me $800, but I believe with my background, with my education, with my experience, $1,000 is going to be, the salary that would be, fit for me. And you're able to give very good reasons as to why. So that's the second, to be able to articulate it during an interview, because sometimes, some of us are really good at what we do, but then you're not able to articulate yourself very well during an interview. So you go for the interview, and unless you're probed, you're not able to articulate your value. So you want to ensure that even before you go for the interview, practice with a friend, practice in front of the mirror to be able to articulate your value, because this is going to go a very long way. And then the last thing that you want to do, so every time you go for an interview, of course, they're going to ask you at the end, what is your salary expectation? And I've done interviews for quite a number of years. And so I know some of the answers that you normally get. Some people will say anything. Even if you give me $50 or $30, I'm happy. I'm happy with anything that you give me. Then there are candidates who are going to, they've done their research, so they're going to give a very good number. There are some who are going to, give a number that has all of us in the panelists, like in the panel, looking at each other like, oh my goodness, like, are we in the same universe, or like, where has this person come from? So the people who would give a ridiculous amount of salary expectation, and then that position, you already have a budget for that role. Do you mind telling us what it is? And for employers who are open and honest, they're going to honestly tell you, because for each and every role that we put out, already we know the employer, the HR, we know how much we are willing to pay the person for that role. So honest and open people are going to, tell you. There are those who are not going to tell you the amount, because they probably just want to undercut you. So that then, if you say, and they're going to throw the question back at you and tell you that, kindly give us an answer. And in this case, you have to give a number. And that is why now your research is really important. So what you want to remember to do is, if your expected salary is $1,000, that is what you've done your math, and for this particular role, I want to be paid $1,000. When they ask you, what is your expectation? Do not say $1,000. You need to mark it up. So when they ask, what is the salary expectation? You're going to say it's maybe $1,200 or $1,300 negotiable. So that then when you negotiate, then you can come down to that 1,000. I hope that part is very, very clear. So those three things: doing your market research, knowing what your value, the value that you're bringing to the table. And then number three, think about the number that you want to give, and then mark it up a little bit to give room for negotiation, because then you cannot say my expected salary is 1,000 and period. If you don't give me 1,000, I'm really not interested in the job. So the next slide, I don't know if Damilola is still there to help me with my slides so that we can move together. Great. So what are some of the things that you want to think about when you are now, negotiating? So you have told them that your salary expectation is $1,200, but at the back of your mind, it's 1,000. You cannot go below this 1,000. So as now you are negotiating, what are some of the things that you want to think about? And the first thing is, you always want to tell the truth. Please always remember that honesty is the best policy. And I know for different recruiters and different hiring managers, it's normally different. But for me, if I get someone or a candidate in a lie, for me, it's always over. Like, there's no going back. I can go back on very many things, but if you lie about maybe how much you're earning, or you lie about, why you're let go, and then I do my background check and I realize it was a lie. Basically, if I get you being dishonest, I'm never able to go back. And maybe for some, dishonesty is maybe like not a big thing, but I know for me, it is a very big thing. And I know it's the same for many recruiters and hiring managers. So please always, tell the truth. I know sometimes it's very uncomfortable when someone asks you for your pay slips. And I know, some employers are going to ask for your pay slips and they're going to use it to gauge how much to pay you. But always remember that if you lie, so let's say they ask you for your pay slips and you go and cook pay slips and send them, because then maybe you're being underpaid and you're being paid maybe $300, but then in that organization you're being underpaid. And for this particular role, the budget for the role is $1,000. So you don't want to share the $300 pay slips because you feel that they're going to really undercut you, because for this particular role, how much they're willing to pay is like maybe $1,000. What I would do is I would tell the truth. I would tell them, yes, these are my pay slips. I was earning $300, but then I was, I was being underpaid, or I was due for a promotion, or I'd had this conversation with my boss, and we were thinking about increasing the salary. But always lead with the truth. Say the truth. If they ask for the pay slips, give them the pay slips. Don't go and cook pay slips. Don't lie about how much you're earning. Just tell the truth, because also you don't want to be caught in a lie. Can you imagine how embarrassing it is? Maybe during the first interview, you told them you're earning $500, then you forgot the lie. Then now you're saying it's $800, and with maybe you had said you're not getting any medical. Then now you just you get caught in this like small lies. It's really not worth it. Just always say the truth. What I can guarantee you is if you say the truth, and then if you master the art of negotiating, you're not going to really get so scared about telling your truth. Like just flipping some questions, I can see some people are asking, do they really ask for pay slips? I know in Kenya they do. Like most organizations are going to ask you for your pay slips. And I know it's something that is normally very uncomfortable for most people. Most people would rather not say how much they're earning. In fact, one of the questions that are really, I keep getting asked a lot is, when they ask you for your pay slip, must I give them? Yes. Because then you see, there's nothing to hide. What becomes a problem is, if you lie about it. And then I know there are people who feel very uncomfortable, but now that's a decision that you have to make. You might decide that I don't want to give my pay slips, and I'm going to wait for an organization that will not ask me for my pay slips, which is okay. But I personally, I don't see any harm. If they ask you for pay slips, just give them the pay slips. Just because you're earning $300 does not mean for this particular role you are going to accept, that $300. You could be earning $300, but then now you're saying that what your salary expectation is $1,000 because you have additional education, you've gotten an additional certification, you have improved your skills in XYZ. So if you're able to justify why you can get the raise, then you shouldn't have any problem. Then the other thing that you want to think about is when you're negotiating for your salary, you think about other things that you can negotiate using, not only the salary. There are so many other things that you can negotiate with. So like now, for example, let's use our example. So you know that you want $1,000. You cannot go below $1,000. Then you've told them your expected salary is $1,200. So they come back to you and tell you, now for this role, the best that we can do is $800. What are you going to do? At this point, I wish I could have gotten. I wish I could get a few, like maybe one or two people to volunteer and tell me how they would handle that situation. So you've gone for this interview. You know that you don't want to go below $1,000. And you've told them your expected salary is $1,200. They come back to you and tell you that we can only give $800. That's the maximum that we can do. How would you approach that? I just want maybe one volunteer, one brave person.
Okay, if you want to do that, please raise your hand. Okay.
Yes, please. Anybody that wants to take part in that challenge.
I see a number of people raising.
All right, then.
Hello. Hello, can I go ahead?
So I see.
Yes,
Hello,
please.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Olive,
you.
we can hear you. Please go ahead. Olive, if you can hear us, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello. Oh, all right. So if you can hear me, I think one of my experiences, Joanne, is that it's important to ask for flexi hours. It's important, therefore, to ask for other non-monetary remunerations, for example, airtime, transport, and for example, off days on aspects like, or let me say, what do you call it, overtime hours that are not exactly paid for, but for which you can get off days for. So I think that's the way I would like to look at it, not the ideal compared to the money, but sometimes having your flexible time could help ease that compensation. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Olive Aseno, I see your hand is raised up. All right.
Can I come in whilst Olive is preparing to speak?
All right. This is Irene.
Yes, Irene from Ghana.
All right. All right.
Okay. I would look at, in addition to what the first contributor said, I would look at I'll look at training options, which are in line with your career development, not what the organization is looking at, your career development. And if some allocation, some budget can be made available for you, that would somehow look at it in terms of the organization is aligning with your personal development and with organizational goals. I would also look at paid vacations, because I've realized most organizations do not give paid organizations, even paid holidays. They do say it's paid, only that it's paid in the month you're working, not that when you're off, it's paid. So it's some of the key indicators I would take a critical look at, even if the salary is not up to your expectations. And then you would want to look at medical, you would want to look at certain incentives. Even if you're a single person, the incentives will be aligning to your career path. If you're a family person, is there any sort of leave days that factor in, family leave, sick leave for your family, in terms of if you need those days off, it will not affect the money you are taking already? I would take a critical look at those things. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Irene. Those are very good responses. So what you're trying to say here is, when you're going to the negotiating table, ensure that there's something else that you are going with, so that then if they're not able to match what you're asking for, then you're not going to leave the negotiating table empty-handed. So you could as the two ladies have said, you could ask for extra vacation days. You could have just started your family and you want some more time with your family. You could ask for is there an option of working from home? So if you're not able to get the $1,000 and it's the best that you can do is 800, can I get like maybe a couple of days to work from home? Is there an option for me to sorry, could you pay for a certification that I'm planning to do? Could they better your medical? Maybe you have small children, and if you're a mother, how sick the small children get. So if they don't currently have a medical cover for you, are they able to to give that allowance? So think about what would be important for you, because then for each person, it's different. One person might want like extra vacation days, or sorry, another person might want, they value education, so they want them to pay for some career development courses. For another person, they'd want the option to work from home. So always go to the negotiating table with with other things that you can ask for, so that then you are not leaving the negotiating the negotiating table empty-handed. Then the other thing that is really, really, really critical, and I cannot overemphasize, is practice on how you are going to negotiate. Because I can guarantee you, especially if you meet a HR or an employer who has done it over and over again, so they know what to ask you, they know what to say, so that then you can coy and not ask, for what you're worth. Then you're going to leave that negotiating table with, less than what you had wanted. So please practice your responses. Practice what you're going to say. Practice, giving what your value proposition is. Practice about how you're going to tell them if you're not able to meet the $1,000, are you able to give me XYZ? Practice saying it, practice saying it out loud, because sometimes the reason why we are not able to negotiate very well is even, let's say you are earning, $500 and now you want $1,000. There are people who you are so scared to even say, I want $1,000. You're not, those words cannot come out of your mouth. So you're going to, you remember when, our younger years, without giving out my age, when, there were ladies who every time a man talked to them, they would draw, maps on the floor, and they look side to side and they're shy. So it's like you almost become that kind of, a person. When they ask you, what is your salary expectation? You want to start drawing maps on the floor and you're looking, side to side and you're blushing. You need to practice saying, I want $1,000 or I want $3,000. And I believe I'm worth $3,000 because of 1, 2, 3. If you do not practice saying that delivery, they're going to offer you $300 and you're going to say, okay, it's fine. I'm okay with $500. And maybe you are, honestly, you're worth $2,500. So please practice saying what it is that you want. Practice saying, I want 2 days, I want to work from home 2 days because I have 3 kids under 2. And as much as I have help, I want to be available, in their lives. Maybe you're a single mom and you want to be, really hands-on with your children. So, you can't say that 2 days or 1 day, if you're not able to get to the $1,000, I want to be working from home, or I want extra vacation days. So please practice saying what it is that you want. Then the other thing that you want to think about is, so ensure that when you say that you want $1,000, let it be something that you've thought about, so that then it can't be that you graduated in 2021, and let's say you've throughout campus, like you probably worked, you did internships and volunteer, you volunteered in different places, and then you've gone for this marketing associate role, and when they ask you what is your salary expectation, you say your salary expectation is 300,000. Where has that figure come from? So you need to be able to make them understand why that that figure, so that then even because then the other rule when negotiating is always be ready to walk away from the table. So already I'm going to negotiate if let's say my expectation was $1,000, and then they say that the best they are willing to give is $300. Of course, at this point, $300 is not, it's not $800 with like maybe flexi hours. $300 is on the other side. So at that particular point, then you need to be able to tell them that, let me just take this offer home and think about it. But then you need to also know there's an amount of money that you cannot take, and you're ready to walk away from the negotiating table. Of course, you do it very professionally, but then, you need to have your numbers right. But then you need to be able to help them understand why that amount. If it's $1,000, of course they know you're paying your rent, you need to eat, you need money for transport, you're doing, like all these things that you're doing. But it needs to be a number that is reasonable, that you're basing it also using your market research. But then if you went to the negotiating table and gave a ridiculous a ridiculous number, I can guarantee you they're not going to call you back. That that interview is going to be over. So you really want to be able that you give a number that you've thought about. If they were to even ask you something like, so why $100,000 and not $120, or why $1,000 and not $800? You're able to you're able to explain. And then also when you're when you're trying to also when you're trying to negotiate your salary, and I think I've said this in passing, you also need to have your your negotiables and non-negotiables, because then sometimes, of course, there are certain organizations that would give you medical, like a medical cover, that give you pension, and like other benefits, like for example, now if you're in sales, they give you like money for fuel, the people who are given per diem, like when they travel. There are certain organizations that don't even have medical cover. And I know of organizations that there are certain organizations that they will not give you a medical cover, or maybe they won't give you a very good medical cover or a very good pension, but they're going to give you a very high salary. There are some organizations that are not going to pay you very well, but maybe they are going to maybe give you like a house to stay in. So when you're going to the negotiating table, you have to know what are my negotiables and what are the things that this one I cannot negotiate. Like I have to have medical cover. If there's no medical cover, like, we are not having that conversation. Of course, that at the back of your mind, so when they give you the offer, you're going to look at it and you're going to go home with it and you're going to deliberate. But you need to be able to know, these are the things these are my negotiables and these are my non-negotiables. And especially like now, maybe you have children. For some, you cannot take a job that does not have a medical cover. For some, it's, I cannot take a job that they don't invest in my career development. I cannot take a job that is going to pay me less than, I'm not going to take a job that makes me travel. Maybe you're newly married and you don't want to, like to keep traveling, or you're starting your family. So depending on what your goals, your needs, your career trajectory, and all those things are combined, you need to be able to know, these are my negotiables and these are my non-negotiables. Then every time, so you've gone for this interview, they've asked you, so what is your salary expectation? You've thrown the question back at them. You've told them, for this particular job, I know you already have a number in mind. They tell you no, they insist, please give us a number. And so you tell them that your expectation, your salary expectation is $1,200. And then they come back to you and say, for this particular role, the most that you can give is $800. When you're talking, when you're negotiating your salary, you want to also be kind and always start from a place of agreement. So like now, for example, when they tell you, so we only have $800. So, you want to say something like, thank you very much for that response. However, I feel, XYZ, I feel because of my, education, I graduated top of my class, and because of the experiences that I have, then now you can keep, explaining why you want $1,000 or why you want additional benefits. But they cannot tell you that for this role, our budget is $800. And then you tell them, okay, that's like, I cannot take $800. No. You guys you're paying me very little. No. You see, the conversation is like, that conversation is over. So you are agreeing with them, but then also disagreeing with them. So it's always a very fine, it's always like a very fine balance. So you're saying, thank you very much for that offer. It's actually a very generous offer. However, then now you continue, but like, don't close don't close off the conversation. Let them not offer you $800 and then you keep quiet. And then now all of, like, both you and the interviewers, you're just looking at each other and there's nothing, like, you guys are not talking. So keep the conversation going, agree to disagree with them. Tell them, thank you for that offer, but then, can you try this thing? Can you try X? Can you try Y? And even if they disagree, agree with them again and then disagree with them. And then, of course, I said, always be ready to walk away. And then, so the next slide.
Actually, Joanne, please go on. I will only take maybe 1 or 2 questions. So you still have a few more minutes to bring your talk to a close. So please go on.
Great. I'm so happy to hear that. Now, so there's this particular example that I wanted to give. So the other trick that you always want to know every time you're trying to negotiate is that most employers in most organizations, most of them are just worried about the bottom line. So they are going, of course, they want to pay you the least amount of money possible. When you know this, when you have this at the back of your mind, it's going to be a game changer for you, because then it's going now to help you be very, be very intentional every time you're going to, to negotiate your salary, because then sometimes for you could have been called for this particular job and it's a sales position, and maybe they tell you the budget, and maybe at the very beginning the budget for that role was maybe $10,000. If you go for that interview and really show, your worth and your value, I have seen instances where, the boss has said, I don't care what we need to do to get that person on board, but I want that person on board. So that should give you the confidence to also be able to ask for a number that that you believe your worth is. Because then sometimes we are afraid of giving a number because you are afraid that they're not going to, you're going to lose this job. And the reason why we are fearful is because I know that the job hunting process can be tedious, it can be stressful, it can be depressing. So at the point when you have reached, you're being given an offer, you just want to take it, because it's been months and months of applying and sending out and getting rejected and all this. So by the time this offer is coming, you just want something, anything. But please always remember, most employers would want to pay you the least amount of money, possible. So even when you're very desperate, even when you really need this job, you've probably, you have a family to feed, you have all these problems, and you just want to get the first thing that comes. Also think about the value that you're bringing to the table. Think about the amount of money that you have invested in yourself. Think about the experiences that you've gained so far, and this should make you confident to be able to ask for for a better pay, because then I know for some of us the only reason why we are not going to negotiate is because you are afraid that if I say I want $15,000, they're going to take away the offer completely. But there's always room for negotiating, depending on how you go about it. And I know of so many times when sometimes I know for some people you prefer negotiating on email as opposed to on phone, especially if you're like me and you're an introvert. And I know of people who've been able to negotiate and better salaries on email, because then you see on email it's a bit easier because then you're not face to face with this person. And I know sometimes you could you've gone for that interview and you're saying all the right things and you're telling them thank you for for this amount, but I believe I'm worth amount Y because of XYZ, and you could give a number and then they tell you let me just go and think about it and I'm going to get back to you. When they tell you they are going to think about it, I know that period between when they tell you they're going to think about it and them coming back with a response it can feel like someone has taken a spoon and they are turning your intestines and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. But please don't make the mistake of calling them back and telling them, oh, no, it's okay. Just give me the first thing that, just give me that $1,000. Because it could be they're actually thinking about giving you what you have asked for. So be confident about your value. When you're confident about your value and when you're confident about what you're bringing to the table, then the negotiating, as much as it's difficult, because of course it's not an easy thing to do, it's going to help you stick to your guns. Because if maybe the budget for this role was $20,000 and you're asking for maybe $25,000, of course, like that's a big margin. And of course, even you're not so sure whether they'll say yes or they'll say no, or they'll, rescind that offer altogether. But it takes a lot of guts and it takes a lot of confidence and it takes a lot of you to be able to say, this is the number, and I'm not going to go below this particular number. So I don't know if we have some room for questions, Damilola.
Hi, Joanne. We
Yes.
have about 7 minutes to go, so we probably might not take a lot of questions, but I want to actually start with this particular one. Now, this person is saying that there have been situations where she's been advised not to offer up, like if she goes for an interview and the employers are asking how much she wants, that she's been told not to in that moment say how much she wants, but wait until an offer is made. Is that the right thing to do, Joanne?
Right. So that's a very good question. And for me, I normally say there are normally two schools of thoughts. So there are people who would throw it back at them. So every time they ask you, so what is your salary expectation? You could throw it back to them and tell them, for this particular role, I know you already have a budget. Please tell me what that is. So that then when they give you the budget, then you can be able to play, like with that number. But there are certain employers who are going to insist that you give them a number. And in that case, you always have to go to the interview room with a number that you're going to give. So don't go to the interview room saying that when they ask me about what my salary expectation is, I'm going to throw it back at them. What if they throw it back at you? You see, you'll have to give a number. So yes, I agree that as much as possible, when they ask you for a number, always throw it back at them so that then they come back with a number. But should they not give you a number, you need to have a number in mind that you can be able to give them.
So much. Let's see if we can do one more question. You spoke about pay slips, and Christine here is asking, with a potential employer to avoid the pay slips being all over different companies who are not necessarily interested in maybe hiring you, is there any privacy or confidentiality policy in place when it comes to sharing current employment pay slips?
So that's a very good question. And I would actually ask the person asking. So I would ask, because it's usually the HR who is going to ask you for your pay slips. I would ask about what is your data policy like? Am I sure that my documents are going to be placed or treated with confidentiality? But you see, like if an organization like IBM or Microsoft or Oracle asks you for your pay slips, of course you're going to give them, and you could ask like about their policy. And that should give you some peace of mind. But what I would say is, if just a random organization asks you, I would be very, I would also do my research to know this organization I can send to, this one probably not. I can just tell them how much I'm earning. But then I know for, some multinationals would ask you for your pay slips before they extend an offer.
Yes. I think that's a very important question, because obviously you don't want your personal information just being out there in a public space. But let's take our last question now. This person says, Anne Njeru says, what do you do afterwards if you realize that you did not negotiate well and you've already taken that job and you've gotten a bad deal way below your budget because of how bad your negotiating skills were at the time?
Oh my, all right. So a number of things. So I would think about a number of things. So the first thing I would want to think about is this particular job. Is it in line with my strengths, my skills, and my passions? Is it in line with the career trajectory that I have set out for myself? Do I see a future in this organization? You know, is the culture, the values, the mission of this organization, is it at par with mine? So would it be worth me sticking it out for some time as I build my name and reputation with the hiring manager, with the HR in this particular organization, so that then after some time, after like maybe 6 months and 1 year, I can go back to them and say, hey, I believe, I came in at this salary, but then over the past 6 months, over the past 1 year, this is what I have been able to achieve. And I can be able to actually quantify, and I can be able to, to demonstrate my achievement. Then at that point, I can ask for a raise. So I think you'd have you'd have two options. Stick it out, ask for a raise. For some people, they would decide that, I think I negotiated very poorly. I probably want to look elsewhere. So at this, in this case, you don't want to, redo your CV, redo your LinkedIn profile, cover letter, start looking out for other opportunities while you're still, there. Send out your applications and see whether, another job comes up. But if it's, if that organization is not a very bad, organization, and, you just did, you negotiated poorly, I would stick it out. Document your achievements so that then you can be able to use that to negotiate for a better offer next time.
Right then, thank you so much for that thought-provoking speech, Joanne. But before we wrap up, would you like to say a few words to the audience, and of course, let them know where they can reach you?
All right. So what, in terms of parting shots, it's at the center of the work that I do. Ladies, please, let's know our value. Let's know what we bring to the table. And it's just generally at work, in relationships, in our families. It's so important that what your value is, for job offers also find themselves cutting themselves short in other areas of their life. So what is most important is just know who you are, and know, who you are, whose you are, and the value that you have. You are valuable, you're beautiful, you have a lot to offer, and you always need to remember that. You can find me on, everywhere, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. My names are Joanne, the career coach. Please follow me. Please, on Instagram, I've put a link tree that has, you can access my website for any of the services that I offer. And I hope we will keep interacting. Thank you very much. It was such an honor and privilege to be here today.
Thank you so much, Joanne. It was a privilege to have you on here today. It's been a pleasure listening to you, and I cannot wait to see what you do next. Okay, there you have it, folks. We've had an action-packed day, but it is time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for attending the Confidence in Action Summit. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you feel ready to get the best in negotiating for the best job offer. But before we close, please give a huge round of applause in the chat section to Dorcas, to Martha, and to Joanne. Now let them know how you feel about your experience, and please thank them for doing such a great job. Remember at the beginning, I said it's a free 3-hour virtual event. So She Leads Africa and Darling Nigeria have used their resources to bring this very talented woman to your computer screens for free. Now, don't forget, once we end the webinar, a short survey will automatically appear on your screen. Please take a few minutes to complete it, to tell us about your experience and what you would like us to do next. Now, my name is Sheiton Atigari. I've been your host. That's SEYITAN ATIGARIN on Instagram, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. I want to give a special shout out to Darling Nigeria. They've been responsible for my beautiful hair. You saw my hair last week and the hair before that. If you didn't see it, go and look at it on my Instagram page. You know what? They've done really fantastic putting this together. Of course, everything, all my pieces I've worn have been from Abebi by Ton. All my kimonos are down to this silk, beautiful shirt, Abebi, ABEBIBYTAN. Follow them on Instagram as well. And of course, shout out to our sponsors, Darling Nigeria, and of course, She Leads Africa for putting this entire fantastic summit together. I'm feeling very confident already, and I've not even left the room. I hope you're feeling confident too. Don't forget, it's all about confidence in action. Thank you for making time to attend this summit. For more information and future updates, please follow She Leads Africa and Darling Nigeria on social media